Good, good morning. Assalamualaikum. Everyone can hear me?
Good morning, Prof. Yes, can hear.
Good morning. Okay. Today we will cover the new topic. I think I've uploaded the notes at the WhatsApp and your WhatsApp. So it's about the topic will cover somewhat the organizational competitiveness of organizational competitiveness. We will talk about actually earlier when we talk about decision making. Okay, we'll just start at 9. Okay, there are two factors which is in that two areas that MIS could be applied. One is internal, the other is external. We talk about decision making and operational effectiveness that will be in the internal, and external will be competitive advantages. So we will start with a video. There is a video by Michael Porter. Okay, I've uploaded the video. I've given you the link of the video in your WhatsApp as well. So let's see, watch the video first. There's a 16 minutes video, and then we will continue. Okay. Okay.
I'm Tom Stewart, editor and managing director of the Harvard Business Review. Our guest today is Michael Porter, professor at Harvard University and head of the Institute for Strategy and Competitiveness. He's the author of the forthcoming HBR article, The 5 Competitive Forces That Shape Strategy, a reaffirmation, update, and extension of his groundbreaking 1979 article, How Competitive Forces Shape Strategy. Mike, thanks for joining the program. To start, let's remind our viewers of what the 5 competitive forces are.
Well, Tom, the basic idea of the competitive forces starts with the notion that competition is often looked at too narrowly by managers. And the 5 forces say that, yes, you're competing with your direct competitors, but you're also in a fight for profits with a broader, extended set of competitors, customers, who have bargaining power, suppliers who can have bargaining power, new entrants who might come in and kind of grab a piece of the action, and substitute products or services that essentially place a constraint or a cap on your profitability and growth. So the 5 forces is kind of a holistic way of looking at any industry and understanding the structural underlying drivers of profitability and competition.
So I use these to think about my rival makes it difficult for me. The threat of substitutes means I can't overcharge. The threat of new entrants means I can't overcharge.
Right.
And the same thing with the
buyers
power
and suppliers.
supply.
And there's underlying drivers of each of those forces that the model really sort of unveils, and then you can actually apply this. Every industry is different. Every industry will have a different set of economic fundamentals, but the 5 forces help you home in on, first of all, what's really causing profitability in your industry, what are the trends that are the most likely to be significant in changing the game in the industry, where are the constraints which if you can relax them might allow you to find a really strong competitive position.
So how would you apply this analysis to an industry, airlines, for example?
Well, airlines is a great industry. It's actually, you'll see in the article, you've seen in the article, that there's a chart that compares profitability of industries, and airlines, I think, has been on the bottom of that list for decades. It's among the least profitable industries known to man. And And the five forces really allows you very quickly to understand why. I mean, let's just go around the chart. The nature of rivalry is incredibly intense, and it's almost exclusively on price. It's been very hard to differentiate, to get the customer to wait even an extra 2 or 3 minutes for another flight if they can get on the flight at a cheaper price. So there's been a very intense price competition, low barriers to entry, a constant stream of new airlines coming into the industry, despite the fact that the profitability is low. It's always puzzled me.
The low barriers to entry because you can rent a plane, you don't have to buy them.
You can rent a plane, you can lease a gate. You know, it's all generic technology. You can start with one flight between 2 city pairs. You don't have to, you know, there's no real need to have a whole network in the beginning. And yet people keep coming in. I think it's just one of those sexy industries. It's a great example of how sexiness or coolness or hotness or chicness has nothing to do with industry profitability. The underlying structure is what drives profitability. You know, the customer is very fickle and price sensitive. Suppliers of aircraft and aircraft engines and even aircraft gates at airports now have a lot of clout. They can bargain away most of the profits. You know, GE and Rolls-Royce and Airbus and Boeing make a lot more money than airlines. They get most of the profit. And then, of course, there's always a substitute of getting on the train or driving your car or shipping your goods by air, and that's kind of kept a concern.
And you have powerful suppliers of labor too. That's another powerful supplier.
Right, exactly. There's a great case where you have unionized labor, and unlike other industries, in this industry, particularly with the pilots, the labor can literally shut you down, and there's no way around them. So it's an industry where there are spurts of what you might call mediocre profitability, punctuated by long periods of terrible profitability.
So every one of the five forces is very strong in that industry.
Yep.
And you could take another industry where the five forces are
Right.
relatively benign
Right.
in all cases.
Like soft drinks. I mean, soft drinks has been a license to mint money, and again, it's the opposite kind of analysis. When I talk with students, we kind of joke around. There's 5-star industries where all the forces are attractive, like soft drinks. There's 0-star industries where all the forces are unfavorable, like airlines, and we're always trying to understand, okay, what's the configuration of underlying economic drivers that's going to really shape the profit potential of this industry, and then armed with that insight, what do I do about it? You know, how do I try to relax the constraint that's holding back industry profitability? How can I position myself to kind of insulate from some of the gale winds of those forces? And those implications of the five forces are something that this new article has developed in much more detail.
You conceived this framework nearly 3 decades ago, and it has been the most extensively used both in management scholarship and management practice of any strategy framework, and I mean, it really has it changed the definition of strategy in a lot of ways. In these 3 decades, what have you learned? What have you learned about the application of these ideas in the real world of business?
Well, the wonderful thing, of course, we learned is that these concepts can be applied to literally any industry. It's a product, a service, high tech, low tech, emerging economies, developed economies. Indeed, what one of the powers of the framework is it helps you avoid getting trapped or tricked by the latest trend or the latest technological sensation, and really allows you to focus on the underlying fundamentals. The internet's a good example. We got very, very confused by the internet because people saw the internet as a force as opposed to really enabling technology that might or might not impact the underlying structure of the industry. So I think one thing I've learned is the framework is very, very robust. But I've also learned that there's a lot of confusion and complexity in actually applying the framework in actual practice, and we've tried to clear as many of those areas up as we could in this new article. For example, how to think about rivalry. What's the really how do we understand when rivalry is really positive sum, which allows companies to, many companies to do well, and when does rivalry become really zero sum, where everybody's kind of dragged down into kind of a destructive battle that you can't win?
I can understand zero sum. I mean, if we get in a price war, the only one who wins is the consumer, which is nice if you're a consumer. But what do you mean by positive sum competition?
Well, the trouble with the zero sum competition is then the consumer gets a low price, but they really get no choice. And a positive sum competition is where companies can compete on different attributes, services, features, customer support that's actually relevant to particular groups of customers. And the most really positive sum competition is where companies are really competing on different things in order to meet the needs of different
So
segments
we're growing
of
the
customers.
pie, and there's a piece for each of us.
As a piece of us. In fact, one of the things we talk about in the new article, one of the things I did in the new article that we really probably didn't have the experience to do so many years ago was really talk a lot about the implications. If this is the way competition works, what do you do about it? And one of them might be, in some industries, rather than go for market share against your rivals, you might be much better off just really expanding the pie, expanding the whole profit pool of the industry. That may be the best way for a market leader to actually improve their circumstances rather than to trigger a destructive battle with their head-to-head rival.
How should a company get started using the 5 forces framework? You're working your strategy up, you decide this really works for me. How do you begin?
Well, I think industry analysis and looking at the competitive environment is, of course, probably the starting basic discipline of any strategy formulation process. If you don't know what your industry looks like, if you don't know how it's changing, if you don't know what the drivers of competition are, you might as well, strategy is going to be, marginally useful if not destructive. So we got to start with industry analysis. Figuring out what your industry is and drawing the right boundaries.
And that's not always easy.
It's not always easy. We've added a box in this new article which really addresses that question because I encountered so many companies that struggled with industry definition. Identifying really what the industry structure is in your particular industry. And then there's another thing that a lot of managers do. They kind of go through the industry analysis and they say, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. So this is a attractive industry or an unattractive industry. But of course, the real question is, how's that industry changing? Some have taken the 5 forces as really a static snapshot. But of course, the 5 forces give you the tools for understanding the dynamics and where's that industry structure changing, how are buyers and suppliers and substitutes and potential entry evolving, and then what implications does that hold for your strategy? How do you position yourself to find that spot within the industry that you're where you can command a really good profit given the 5 forces? How can you maybe reshape the nature of the industry structure? And we've got some great new examples that are very, very contemporary in this article that I think will help the manager community and the investor community really understand the application of this.
Sometimes when people think about strategy, they think about a group of people, maybe from a management consulting firm or maybe on the 33rd floor of the building, whatever it is, but this sort of elite strategy priesthood that goes and does this, and they're almost divorced from the rest of the management of the company, the 99% of the other people working in the company. How can a strategy become part of the day-to-day life of a working stiff manager in a company? How do you apply this framework, this thinking? How do you use it?
Well, we think that this way of looking at an industry needs to be very, very broadly understood in the organization. I mean, and the thing about it is that managers, even rank and file employees, it's intuitive. People understand. We have these customers, we have these suppliers. We're struggling with them every day. They're trying to get a better deal. We're trying to get a better deal. So intuitively, I think this is a way of helping people sort of step back from all the excruciating little details that characterize any business and say, what's really important here? And then, of course, we've learned that strategy is completely useless, again, unless the results of the strategy process, the position that you choose to occupy, the way you're going to drive your company, is well understood quite broadly. Because the number one purpose of strategy is alignment. It's really to get all the people in the organization making good choices, reinforcing each other's choices, because everybody's pursuing a common value proposition, a common way of gaining competitive advantage. So, I remember when I wrote this article, there were many people who believed that strategy documents should be locked in the safe at night. And should not be made available to the rank and file. There was a concern that some competitor would find some secret. Well, we've actually learned now that it's the opposite. You've got your employees got to know your strategy, your channels have to know your strategy, your suppliers have to know your strategy,
and your competitors probably knew it already.
Well, and frankly, if again, the competition is not zero sum. If every company finds a unique need that it can set out to meet, if it tries to deliver something different than its rivals, multiple rivals can be successful. And if your competitors kind of understand what you stand for and what you're committed to, maybe they'll make a different choice. rather than get dragged into these kind of mindless price wars that we see in so many industries.
The 5 forces that shape strategy have been around for 30 years. They're going to be around for, well, they've been around for long. They were around long before you wrote about them.
That's right.
They've been around as long as business has been around. They're going to be around as long as business is around. The new article is just fabulous, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward to kind of getting another surge of
Okay, we have done with our video, so we will show you my slides. We'll start with the topic on organizational competitiveness. It is in the topic 7. Okay. Let me see. Okay. First, before we move into information systems impact on organizational competitiveness, as we have watched the video, so we'll look into what is organizational competitiveness. So what Michael Porter just now mentioned was about the competitive forces model. So how does certain firms become leader in their industry? So Michael Porter gave his general view of what we call 5 competitive forces. So there are 5 components. The main is the industry rivalry. Industry rivalry is your current competition. Companies or providers or suppliers that sell the same product with you, exactly the same product with you, and then for the same market. So, for example, you're selling nasi lemak, your competitor is also selling nasi lemak at the same roadside. That is your industry rivalry, doing the same thing with you. And then you have threat of entry, meaning that somebody else coming to the same roadside, selling the same thing, still selling nasi lemak. So that is threat of new entry. Yeah. Then next is threat of substitutes. Somebody come into your street, yeah, at the roadside, but not selling nasi lemak, maybe selling something else, maybe selling mee goreng or banana fritters or something else, selling something else, but it can substitute your product because the value is the same. I think early class we talk about, the first class we talk about value. The value of the substitute is the same with the industry rivalry with your current competition. So, but it is substitute, but it provides the different product, different services, but with the same value. That is the other thing that you need to look at, threat of entry and also threat of substitute. Next thing is the bargaining powers of suppliers. Your suppliers will demand to reduce your margin actually by pushing up their selling price. So the cost of your raw material, cost of your semi-finished product that you need to be input, they need to be input into your production process will be higher because they want to sell their products at a higher price. And then at the other end is your bargaining power of buyers. Buyers want to push the price down, their selling price down. So there is competition among the other producers, and then the buyer will push in your price lower. So that all these forces will bring your margin down. So so this is our 5 competitive forces. It will shape the fate of the firm, which are your traditional competitors, the new market entrants, yeah, substitute products and services, your customers, bargaining power of your customers, and bargaining power of your suppliers. Yeah, so for the traditional competitors, so all organization or companies share certain market space with their competitors. So devising the new products, services, efficiencies, and switching costs, because they sell the same product, they sell it for the same market. New market entrance is industries coming companies coming with another similar product, same product with you, cater to the same market, but they are coming into the new market. They are new into the market. So some industries have higher barriers of entry, like airline companies. You need to have airlines, aircraft. You need to have the license. So some have higher barrier of entry. Some have lower barriers of entry. So new companies would have new equipment, younger workers. Yeah. And then the other is substitute products that deliver, companies that deliver different products but of the same value with your company. So you can substitute the product. There is another thing, besides substitute, there is another term called alternative. Alternative is different from substitute because alternative provide different value. Yeah. And then customers have their demand to lower your price. They will could easily switch to another competitor's product. Yeah. And suppliers will market power of suppliers is they will push down, they will push up their selling price of raw materials. Yeah. So your margin will be slim when you are not able to attend to the bargaining powers of customers and bargaining power of suppliers. Furthermore, you have a competition from the substitute product, from the new market entrants and traditional competitors. So how do we deal with it? Yeah. So in management information in MIS for this class, we will look into how we could adopt the company, the organization could adopt themselves when they are dealing with these competitive forces, and then how they can build their strategy in attending to these forces, and then how they could attend each and every one of them. How do you deal with threat of entry? How they deal with bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, industrial rivalry, and threat of substitute? How do you deal with it using information system and information technology? Bearing in mind that when technologies come in, it is not a threat actually for any organization. Technologies come in, whether it is, when we look at today, we have blockchain, we have ChatGPT, yeah, or Google Bard, or financial technology. They have fintech, they have other banking as a service, open banking, and so on. There are many cryptocurrencies and so on. We are supposed to adapt the organization and use the technology for the advantage of the organization. So in this course, based on the book, our textbook, they have given 4 generic strategies in how to deal with these competitive forces. One of it is, we start one by one. One is the low-cost leadership, and they've given 4 there. Low-cost leadership, product differentiation, focus on market niche, and strengthening customer and supplier intimacy. First, we start with low-cost leadership. Low-cost leadership is how do we can use information technology and information system to produce products and services at lower price than our competitors. Any example that we can apply here, for example, is say AirAsia. You can see easily we can talk about AirAsia. Okay, I don't want to talk alone. I will ask you, how does AirAsia apply low-cost leadership in their business? Anybody?
Prof, can I try to answer?
Yes, can.
They will offer a basic package first, then add on. You can add on as and when you. I mean, you can add on later.
Okay, how do they do that? How do they apply technology? How do they apply IT or IS technology?
They do it through, for example, now they are doing like customer can make reservation, then you have option to add on through website.
Okay, what AirAsia did actually, this we look into the old before pandemic. The pandemic situation is different. pre-pandemic. So what they did is actually they break up the cost components. So how do you break up your cost components? You apply business analytics, you apply ERP in enterprise resource planning, and then you apply business analytics so that you can break up your cost components. So they use information systems to break up their cost components. So when they are able to break up the cost component, they look into what is the basic cost, and then from the basic cost, what kind of revenue they can generate from the basic cost. Yeah. So and then the other are considered as add-ons. So add-ons, what are the costs, and then what are the revenue they can charge for the add-ons. So you just provide a basic cost. For example, in case of Asia, it's just a seat. So we talk about value. Value of an airline is it can fly you from one point to another point. So what you need to fly to another one point to another point to is just to be in the airline. You need a seat to be the airline. So they give you a basic seat. What is the cost of the basic seat? So they have a system called yield management system. Yeah, they have two systems. We call it ERP and yield management system, and then the business analytics. So they just to move you from point A to point B. So they have measured what will be the cost, what will be the from ERP, and then yield management system. They can measure how much they should price based on the basic cost of fuel, basic cost of their crew, staff, and other costs. Yeah, the basic cost, the direct cost. Okay, then other components of cost they will add in. They have a system called yield management system. They have what ERP and yield management system. Yeah, and then combined with analytics, so that they can mark up the price to create some basic margin, and then so that they need to cover their break-even cost first. So when they have covered the break-even cost, the rest is actually a profit to them. So they put that's why when you order book early, they will be covering the basic cost. There are a number of seats that they require to just cover the break-even cost. Then there will be additional passengers will be profit passengers. Then for the other costs, they will for the other costs like food, and then even entertainment, even the baggage, they will cost in, and then they will do markups of that cost. Okay, from the cost to get the revenue that they can charge. This is how they apply low cost leadership. And then to reduce the cost, they reduce the number of physical outlet. So bookings, everything are done online. So even though online there is a high capex cost, but capex cost can be amortized over a period of depreciation, but it incurs low operational expenses operational expenses. Okay, does that answer? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so now we move. Yes.
My question. I noticed that Asia, they offer different prices during different period lah. Say during festivity season, they offer higher price lah, other than outside of festivity season. So how do they do that?
Okay, because there is a game of demand and supply. From the trend of demand and supply, you can know what will be the basic the highest price that you can put. So they do profit maximization. This is what called profit maximization. We covered that. It's actually in analytics, the profit maximization. So they can maximize their profit during the festive season because they know there will be high demand. And then whereas during low season, they will try to cover the break-even cost at least in the in meantime. So throughout the year, they will create when we make our projection, profit projection, we are not looking at every flight. No, I'm not from West Asia, I think. But the way I look at it as a business person, you are looking at a year. So when you can charge higher, when you can charge lower, but overall throughout the period, you will make some your target margin from there. Does that answer you, Saiful?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Okay.
Prof. Rosia here.
Yes.
Prof, I want to ask, just now Prof explained is about, for example, it's Asia, is it? This is the services. Means that the low cost leadership is more to services because the services is the margin is more high compared to the products. How about the
Product?
Yes, about the product. It's not about like retail. We know sometimes the company also practice the same like Asia, but how about the other product like hardware,
okay,
or something like that?
Okay, products we have terms we call bare bones. Yeah, they are product. For example, bare bones. For example, IT we have computers. Computer science. Computers we have something we call bare bones. We can also sell bare bones, meaning just the basic product so that it can function, because the at the end the price our cost will be low, because we are selling, we don't have, for example, when you sell PC, it's just a basic PC. For example, what they are targeting for student, for example, laptops for student, they will not be putting high-end storage space, processor, CPU, and so on, but just provide the basic. So that is also called cost leadership. You just provide the basic according to what your customer needs. But in order to do that, you still have to work out your costing. You do analysis of your costing. You need to do what we call it, allocation and apportionment. That is two terms, allocation and apportionment. Yeah, allocation and apportionment. Okay, anybody can explain to me before I move on? What is the difference between allocation and apportionment of costs?
Allocation, appointment,
Apportionment, not appointment. Apportionment.
Apportionment. I think for allocation, the company allocate the cost according to their normal routine activities. But about appointment, I'm not so sure, Doctor.
Apportionment, not appointment.
Apportionment, sorry.
Apportionment. Okay, it's like this. Allocation, when you can identify the cost, there are a few basic costs. I don't know. Where direct cost will be direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. Direct labor and direct expenses. Yeah, these are the other expenses, electricity. So those expenses that can be identify directly to the produce, to your product, yeah, you allocate, meaning that for each computer you will need one CPU, so you allocate. There is a cost of CPU, the chip, the cost the chip is called CPU. Cost CPU. For one computer there will be for example, like motherboard. So you put the motherboard, so you can cost the motherboard. So that is called allocation. Yeah, you allocate the cost directly to the component, so you can calculate cost. And then, but there are things that you cannot put in directly. Yes, like the person that will be screwing or installing the laptop, for example, if it is done manually, if it is done manually. So also one person can put in a day, can do 30 or 20. Yeah. So it is not, it is that is direct labor, but I mean these things that cannot be identified directly on the product, you do apportionment. Apportionment is things that you cannot directly identify to the product. You do apportionment, meaning that electricity, the admin staff, admin salaries, things that you do that. So these are the that cannot be identified directly. You do apportionment. There is a basis to do that. So when you combine the cost that you can identify directly and the cost that you cannot be identified directly, you combine, you can have the total cost for the product. So you can play with that. So in order to reduce the number of costs, yeah, reduce cost, yeah, of your cost, and then you will work out your margin. Yeah, you can do cost plus margin or market pricing. Yeah, you do cost plus pricing, you can do a cost plus pricing, or you can do market pricing. And then from this market pricing, you can.
Sorry, Doctor. Sorry to interrupt. For
Yeah.
cost plus, this one for apportionment or allocation?
Cost plus is combined total.
Okay.
You mean you combine total, the allocation and apportionment, you combine, become total, and then total you do cost plus, or you can do market. It depends on suitability of the product. Some product you can do cost plus, some product you can do market pricing. So you can have a very minimal selling price. Yeah, cost plus pricing. Sometimes bare bone you can put higher price, higher margin. You can put higher margin because people do not see, because you have reduced the cost component, you have reduced your cost, then you can even put a higher margin for the cost plus pricing, but because it will be still lower than the market price, so your margin could be lower. People don't see that, but eventually you want to have lowest or very basic market your selling price in the market, very basic selling price in the market, and then you sell on added value. For example, like if you sell a car, you can remove the radio, remove the certain components, and then you add on value. Similar like you see Asia. Okay, you want to have radio, you have to have something, and then you can add on something. Does that answer you, Rosia, for product?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Dr.
Okay. So, and then the next is product differentiation. Product differentiation is another strategy that you can, how do you differentiate your product? Yeah, so we can use information systems actually to differentiate the product with the or services. You can, for example, like, I remember, or you can combine the product. For example, we have iPod. Earlier when iPod came into the picture, they're selling iPod but combined with iTunes. Yeah, so it's a product differentiation. It's some sort of different product compared to the earlier, you can say Walkman, yeah, by Sony. So it's other products, and then you come up with iPod, different product, and then it can be linked to iTunes. They can download products. So you create this product differentiation. So information system, information technology enables to do product differentiation. For example, Google compared to the earlier Yahoo. Yahoo is based on metadata. Google based on page rank algorithm, which is based on backlink algorithm. Yeah, Nike, they can add in with what they call it, meters, yeah, to measure your health and so on, how far have you run and so on. So that is product differentiation. You can add in information technology, information system to differentiate your product with the current products in the market. Yeah, and then move on. Yeah. Okay, focus on market niche. So you can, for example, given here, Hotel Hilton on queue system, we have information system that cater to the specific niche. So you develop information system. one of it is Hilton Honor. They cater for their own market, so you can book hotels and so on. So maybe for product as well, certain product like Mercedes, or they have Daimler Benz, for example. Daimler Benz, they have used information system. They put into RFID. They have RFID at their chassis. So during the process of assembling the car, so it started with the cases. In the cases, they put RFID. So during the process of assembling the car, they know where the car is, whether it is at the paint shop, at the upholstery shop. So move on, and then you can update the buyer where the car is, and then and then even for servicing, after sale servicing, the cars are identified by their RFID instead of the plate number. Even if you change your plate number, or you sell your car and then the new owner change your plate number, it is actually based on the RFID. So it is market niche information system enables certain to focus on special market niche. For strengthening customer and supplier intimacy, we have SCM, supply chain management system, and we have CRM. Yeah, most common CRM, customer relationship management system, where we build bond with suppliers and with the customers. So we have a vendor program, so that your suppliers can immediately send products or supplies to you whenever there is based on the economic ordering quantity. So information system can calculate your EOQ, economic ordering quantity, when you should order your EOQ. Yeah, when you should start order, when you can initiate a replenishment of certain stock for, and then for customer, you can have apps, for example, to cater for their complaints. For example, when you sell cars or even services, yeah, you can book. For example, AirAsia, you can book, and we have an apps. Bank also have some facilities there. So that is customer and supplier intimacy. Okay, any questions so far on these four components that given? Yeah.
Doctor,
Yes.
can you repeat again what is the meaning of EOQ? EOQ what?
EOQ is economic ordering quantity.
Economic,
Economic ordering quantity.
So basically, doctor, in the case of economic ordering quantity, it can be applied on
any stock.
every strategy lah.
Economic ordering quantity is stock. So when you order, there is an economic ordering quantity looking into the cost of the stock that you want to order. Maybe it is raw material. There is a formula, but I don't remember the formula. This is in accounting or costing. So and then taking into account the cost of delivery, and then what is the volume pricing that you can get, what is the consumption per month, for example, and then based on the whether it is perishable products and non-perishable products. So you order what is the most economic quantity that you can order for a certain product, certain raw materials, certain supplies, yeah, not the product that you sell, certain supplies. So you calculate that. So you will trigger when to order, you will trigger how much to order. You will calculate you how many to order.
So basically, bro, under EOQ, it can be basically it can be applied regardless of company strategy. Either the company focusing on market niche, either the company focusing on lower cost. It can be applied to any strategy lah.
It can be any strategy, but there is another strategy, we call it just in time. Just in time, that can work together with EOQ. EOQ is how much do you order. Just in time is you looking into the lead time. Lead time meaning when you start order, when you will get your material. So you combine with this EOQ and just in time. So you will get can be calculated using computer, so you know how much when you want to order, how much you want to order, and then you make sure that your production doesn't stop. There is no help in the production. Production will continuous, but you are maximizing your return. So this is operations. This is not really at strategy level. This is at operations level.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question so far?
Doctor, sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
To understand better. So, for example, petrol station, they are combining the EOQ and just in time, is it? This time?
Just in time, because you need to know when the truck will arrive, because there is a due process when you make an order of the fuel to replenish, and then when it will arrive, and then how much it will arrive, how much your consumption for a month or for a week. Yeah, for example, you want to keep the fuel for a week, so how much is the consumption, and then when to order. So you don't want to have multiple times, because there will be delivery charges for you to deliver per truck, for example. So you need to combine them. Does that answer you, Adis?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now we move into the internet strategy, internet's impact on competitive forces. Yeah? So internet have impact on the competitive advantage, because there is threat. Internet provide threat to some industries, for example, travel agencies. We don't see much travel agencies today, because people can buy tickets directly from the airline companies. But nevertheless, today we can see some new intermediaries come up, applying information technology. For example, like AirPass, you can compare airline, the rate, the price fare for a certain destination from several airlines, and then so you can pick up which is the best and so on. So this is the transformation or threat to the travel agency industry. You can even, for example, you can also have for hotel, for example, you have Agoda, Booking, Expedia. So you even provide review on certain hotels, and then compare different prices of the different hotels. So it has what you call it? It's circumvented, doesn't go through the travel agency anymore. So you can act as your own travel agency. You can have information of the airline. You can have the airline cost. You can have information of the hotel whenever you want to go to travel. Yeah, so this is the threat to the industries. Printed encyclopedia. So we have encyclopedias, not like Wikipedia. I'm not saying example is not Wikipedia, for example, Britannia, and then some encyclopedia, even dictionary, you can get online today, and then media. So competitive forces, there is competitive forces, but rivalry is more intense, because due to the universal standards, universal standards, every system applying the same standard XML, the universal standard HTML. So entrance to the market is not very difficult. So you have new opportunities for everybody to build brands, but it will be more competitive to the industry. The situation is has changed from before we have internet, after we have internet. So now how do we adapt? How do we adopt the technology and adapt our business so that we can maximize our profitability, maximize our performance, looking into not just the internal processes, not just the operations and decision making, but also operational decision making, but more also include your dealing with the suppliers, dealing with the buyers, dealing with the looking into your competitors, and so on. So we also have yes.
Just want to get some more clear picture. You said nowadays, like the travel agencies, like no more like dealing, and more to the travel company like Malaysia Airline, Air Asia's coming their own apps with the package. in future, another 5 years times, do you think this make more significant for people traveling the world with a package, by like you know, they're going to other country for vacations? Is it, if let's see, like those days we have Mata Fair, now we are having Mata Fair. So the travel agency is still giving some package of, you know, travel, like 7 days, 8 days travels. Is it significant? We have this kind of apps like Malaysia Airlines apps.
Okay, for me, this is the way I look at the travel agency cannot be applying their old traditional way of doing things. They need to change. You can see that today it's not the airline company also are not selling at their end by themselves. They also did with some intermediaries like Airpass. Yeah, the one that I used to buy is through Airpass, and some other. I don't recall, and some other that you can look into several airlines. They provide you information of many airlines and then say you want to go to Dubai, for example, Dubai. So if you go through Emirates or you go through Etihad, if you go through SIA, if you go through MAS, Malaysia Airlines, so what would be the fare? And then what is whether it is direct flight, and then what are the stopovers and so on. So you can compare all the different products. But if you go just to Malaysia Airlines, it will only provide Malaysia Airlines. If you go to Qatar Air, just what Qatar Air. But there are intermediaries that can provide the whole, but they are not travel agents. Travel agents, they have what do you call it, stock tickets. They buy stock ticket. They put in certain float with airline company, and then they have some sort of stock tickets, so they can buy stock. They can buy ticket using their stocks, and then they have a margin of about, I think last time it's about 9% margin. So but these new intermediaries are competing with the travel agent. And then besides that, users can also look into things like for example, you want to go to Dubai. It's not just the airline, you need to have accommodation, for example. You can look into accommodation at Airbnb, for example. And then you can look at accommodation at, say Booking or Expedia or Booking. So you can find your accommodation. Traveloka, yeah. So these are the new competitors to the travel agents. They are not direct competitor, but they can be considered substitute or new kind of things for this. So I'm not sure about the future, but the future there will be more of these. We call it intermediaries. So we will cover the topic of e-commerce later, but in the e-commerce we'll talk about disintermediation. There is another term called re-intermediation. Yeah, re-intermediation. There is re-intermediation, yeah, and also counter-intermediation. Yeah. Does that answer you?
Yeah, but I just want to know that with this is a spec we are talking in Malaysia contents. I mean, concepts. How about the internationally, the other country also implement this kind of systems, or either they are more advanced at this?
I think this it is global. For example, in terms of technology, global, there is nobody is actually far behind. As long as they have the technology, they have internet, no one is very far behind from each other. So whatever is launched over the internet, everybody can have access to it. So whatever product that you put up in your website, it is, they call it borderless. So everybody can have access to it as long as they have access to the internet. So nobody is far behind. Okay, does that answer you?
Yes, all right. Thank you.
Okay. So, and then we have new things is, for example, like Internet of Things. How do we apply Internet of Things? Internet of Things is, they have sensors. Yeah, they have sensors, actuators. You put into your room, for your offices, and so on. And then from these sensors, you can link to Internet of Things devices, this Arduino or Raspberry Pi, and then you can link to a cloud using fog computing. We call it fog computing. You can link to the cloud, and then the cloud, actually not the cloud, the server. The server is called cloud. So, and then from the server, you can do processors and so on. So this is growing use of Internet of Things, Internet connected sensors. So this is a thing that can be adapted and adopted to be adapted into your organizational operational processes to have to be more competitive. And then like, you can also use smart products, fitness equipment, health trackers, for example, like certain Nike or certain Ogawa, certain products that can use health trackers, fitness equipment to improvise. You can expand product differentiation opportunities using these tools. And then you can also raise switching costs. How do you raise switching costs? You can add in products, and then you can add in loyalty programs. You can add in registration of product, enrollment into certain provide facilities, and so on. So you raise the switching costs.
Dr. Saiful,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. I noticed for smart products like fitness equipment and health tracker. For example, Nike, they Nike, Adidas, Puma, they have collaboration with smart trackers like Garmin, like so. For these watch brands, smart watch brands, to share their users data in Nike, Puma, and Adidas running apps per se. So I think is this one of the things that you mentioned before this to increase the switching
cost. Yes.
Switching
This is part of the cost that to raise switching cost, because when you are used, for example, for example, you use Fit, 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 there is a software that link to Fossil, and then it can, so you, because you have been using the software, it's been monitoring your heartbeat and so on. So it's difficult for you to switch to another Garmin, for example, and then Garmin have another product that prevent people from switch to another. This is a switching cost. Switching cost is actually an opportunity cost. You lost. It's not a physical. It's not a monetary cost. You incur monetary cost when you switch. So it also inhibit new entrants, newcomers that have to come in, need to tie up with this what we said trackers. You need to have products. Yeah. So the new entrants need to. And then it also may decrease the power of suppliers, because because you develop your strategies with the other product suppliers, different products. So this is the new things that not really new, have been quite some time, but you can use this in your developing your competitive strategy. So when and then develop your industry specific ecosystem. Yeah, so this is this is some example. Ecosystem, you develop an ecosystem combined with certain platform. Yeah, Microsoft or Facebook. Certain, now we have a lot of devices or tie up with certain products. Yeah, Facebook tie up with Instagram and so on. And then you have some keystone firm that you measure, and then you have niche firm company. So individual company can look into how IT can help them, to be more profitable as a niche player compared to in the larger ecosystem. So you look into your niche. I think certain smaller firms is better for you to target into niche firm rather than you want to compete head on with large players. For example, if you have search engine, instead of going to get a large domain search engine like Google, you can develop a specific search engine, for example, like Islamic banking, just looking search engine for people to come into get Islamic get Islamic banking products. You're just specific on the products and searching, but you specialize. You even add on the different juristic school. You can add on the permissibility, or we call it hukum, of certain products, and then you can add on the product disclosure sheet of well, this is related to your case study for the knowledge management. So you can also, because search engine is part of KM product, so you can add on the product disclosure sheet of certain, and then tie up this product disclosure sheet to another, to the Sharia model and so on. So instead of focusing, so individual firm can consider how to look to become a profitable niche player in the larger ecosystem. Okay, and then challenges posed by the strategic information system is how do you sustain your competitive advantage, because competitors can retaliate and copy your strategic system because internet is accessible by everybody. So talking about, just now we mentioned about zero-sum game. What is zero-sum game for your understanding? What do you understand about zero-sum game? Zero-sum game.
Winner takes all. Loser
Winner
gain.
takes all versus
Losers
positive
gain
game.
nothing.
What is positive sum game? Comparing with the sum game or positive sum game. What is positive sum game?
All parties can share.
All parties can share. So today we look into how do you sustain competitive advantages. So the competitors can retaliate and copy your strategic system. System can become survival for your tool for your survival. So they are looking at zero-sum game, meaning that you look into it on competition with your competitor. So if you win, competitor will lose, for example, or you can go for competition. Ever heard of competition? Cooperation and competition. So it will provide a positive sum game. So you can align, we can combine with the other industry. So you look into how do you look into the strategic system analysis, you look into structure of the industry, how do you look into firm value chain, and then you can do relationship and develop strategic relationship in terms of business goal, relationship with your customer, supplier, and even your competitors. Yeah. Okay. Then okay. Now we move into organizational change. Any question before you move into the next topic on organizational change? Any questions?
Doctor, question, Doctor.
Yes.
Regarding what you said just now about competition.
Yes.
So two parties cooperate and then at the same time they're competing among themselves lah. So how can they leverage on
Okay.
on technology to do
Okay.
that?
Okay, we can look at actually technology is the enabler. You can see technology is as the enabler. So when you look at competition, you can look at usually it is at the horizontal. It can be vertical, it can be horizontal. Vertical meaning within the supply chain at different level of the supply chain. Horizontal meaning you are selling the same product. So it can be carving a border, for example, we call it. So this is your area, this is my area. So we don't compete with each other, but we link with each other, something like that. So can provide information or tips for the other. So instead of competition, So you know you can enter certain products into the other market, and then the other market can the other competitor can enter certain product at your market. For example, rather than you use all your resources into expand to a large market, you competition where suitable. Sometimes it's not suitable, depends on the competition, depends who is the competitor. Some competitors are suitable. For example, like you are in, so because we, for example, like when I was in the industry, some of the players are doing specialized in certain products, for example, in networking. So I do some development, for example. You can compete that is in a different vertical level, or they are specialized in certain area, for example, in Johor, I'm in Selangor, for example. So I can also provide product to Selangor, to Johor, although I'm not in Johor. So I can expand my boundary by aligning, or what do you call it, with other competition.
Doctor, I think in the case of competition, I noticed that based on your explaining just now, I think for competition it really suit for business that do business B2B, but it can be, I think I rarely seen any companies that involved in B2C doing this. Like for example, when we talk about Zeus Coffee per se, okay, Zeus Coffee, they do have collaboration with Touch and Go, but they don't have collaboration with the Starbucks. Because they are in coffee business, they are competing to capture the consumer. I think for competition, I think this is based on what you mentioned before this lah. It really suited on the B2B company lah. This is understanding lah.
Yeah, but there is a trend now today. We can, for example, like in the banking industry, you can do in the banking industry. Banking industry, we do have what we call it white labels. White labels, not in Malaysia, some other countries. White labels, meaning the banking, there are people who sell the product front end, yeah, banking product front end, but at the back end there are several players, and these players know each other. So the back end players and the front end players are different. But mention, like you said, it's Zeus. Zeus is actually a front end player. It sell direct to B2C. I think you're right. So it's actually the back end players are B2B. Most of them are B2B. Yeah. But I have not seen any B2C competition. There may be, but I'm not sure. Okay. Any other question? All the other students are keeping quiet. Afika, Amar, Shaza, Devanish. Only hear from Saiful and who else? Rosia. Rosia is still not in anymore.
Anis, I think Anis also asked you a question just now.
Anis also asked question. The rest is also quiet. We don't have this satisfactory teaching. The lecturer doesn't have satisfactory teaching Zoom classes. Okay, now we move into the next topic. This is the next topic on organizational change. Organizational change is about organizations need to change, especially when we're talking in our sense, it's about when you adopt new technology, when you implement new system, new information system, you need to change. Or whenever there is technology that is coming up in the market, prevailing in the market, that you need to take advantage of because of your competition. You have competition with the other players. You need to enhance yourself, enhance your company. You need to change. But what is the stumbling block for change? Usually there is a culture. Culture is another one of the stumbling block for the change. What is culture? Culture is we are talking about organizational culture. Before we move into organizational culture, we look into what is culture. Culture is a set of major understandings, an assumption shared by a group. This is what I believe. This is my assumption. So this is what you share. It became your culture. So in an organization, the culture determines what do you produce, how do you produce. So this is where we do things in our company. Maybe a new staff come in, a new CEO come in, and then tell you new things, new way of doing things. No, boss. This is the way we do in my company, in our company. We have been doing this for the past 30 years. So that is culture, it's embedded culture. It hinders, actually, it hinders change, actually. So it make people difficult to change. So when we talk about organizational change, it's about how the organization plan and implement and handle the change. The soft side, the difficult part in implementation of change is the soft side, which is involve how these employees will embrace. With regard to this, it's actually on information system and now and a new way of doing things where they have embedded culture, we have embraced a culture in the organization. So we will talk about change management model. There are many change management model, but we only cover a few of these change management model. So change management model will describe the phases of the organization or individual that they have to go through to make some changes. So it provides principles. So how do you successfully implement the change? The number of models. So we start with the first one, which is the Lewin's change model. Yeah, remember Lewin's change model. Luis, today here we will cover two topics, two theory pertaining to Lewis, by Lewis. Okay, before we move there, we move to the change model. This Lewis change model, another one is Lewis force field analysis is a theory. This is what we call a theory. I want to share with you what is a theory. Is this recorded? Stop share. I'll stop share first. Okay. What is a theory? What do you understand about theory? Anybody? Tevanesh or Rosia? What do you understand about theory?
Doctor, theory is about what's supposed we to do. It's
What
not practical.
What you are supposed to do? Theory.
Like for example, we go to one company, they have their standard organization culture. Because I faced this one previously, they said that I cannot change the culture.
Okay,
This is the theory.
That is the culture. What is theory? What is theory? Okay, yeah.
A theory like is same with like SOP, is it?
No, different.
No.
It's okay. Okay, you try. Anybody else? Tevanesh?
Prof, can I?
Yes.
Can I try?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's basically about like something like you observe. For example,
Okay.
you just say like I'm now observing something from your class,
Okay.
and then I take it back, and then it is like how does it like exactly like work? Yeah, so that's basically like theory.
Okay, that's theory. Anybody else? Saiful, yes.
Yeah, I think theory is an explanation of a phenomenon that already being proven after hypothesis. So actually, the hypothesis already proven, and then it really explained the phenomenon lah. I think that you can use that because it already proven.
Okay. Okay, that is more closer. Yeah, Saiful, what closer? Okay, theory. Because I want to change the one that Rosia mentioned just now is culture, but nevertheless there is a term because that you have mentioned the concept, yeah, Rosia. So I want to mention about another thing from Peter Drucker. This is another thing, an added thing. Peter Drucker, Drucker mentioned about what he called theory of business. Yeah, Drucker mentioned about theory of business. Theory is business, and according to Drucker, is different from the theory that we understand or what Saiful explained. Theory is business is how the business in general. And so you can read the article in Harvard Business Review, but in gist of it is about how the business provide the products, yeah, or provide the product to the customer, yeah, product or services to the customers, yeah, to the customers, and then how they are get paid for. How do they get paid for it? Yeah, and then about how and then how they got paid for it. So what is the product? So there are details about it, but it's about how do they, what is the product, how they provide the business provide products and services to the customer, how do they get paid for it? So do they get paid for it? Got paid for it. Yeah, for the product and services. So this is theory of business. But later on, Joan Margareta changed she doesn't like the term Joan Margareta. Joan, she's a lady, yeah, Margareta. Doesn't like the term theory of business, so she coined the term as business model. And then later on, Alexander Osterwalder will talk about business model. This describe this as business model. This is the different theory of business. Okay, when you talk about the theory is like Saiful mentioned, is a rule. Yeah, theory is a rule. So whatever happened in this world, there is a rule. For example, gravity is a theory. Why things fall? It is a theory. Yeah. So, and then it is proven, it's tested, you drop things, it will fall. And then there is a speed for gravity. So 9.8 meter per second and 9.8 meter per second. So gravity is a theory. So theory is a rule. It has been tested. We have developed hypotheses. Sometimes we call it science, we call it postulates. Yeah, sometimes we call it hypotheses. Rule is hypothesis. Yeah? So, and then being tested, so we get theory. So what we will learn today is several theories. Because when I first teach about this change management theory, there was a question asked by a student, why should we believe a theory? Because theory is just created by you. And then why should we believe a theory that has been created by you? So theory is not hypothesis, theory is not postulate. We create hypothesis, we create postulate. But theory, when it is deemed as theory, it is accepted as theory, it must be proven statistically or triangulated. Yeah, can proven. We have statistically, and then we have done triangulation, or at least triangulation. For qualitative, we do triangulation instead of statistic. Triangulation. Yeah, so we've been tested. Yeah, so we have been proven and validated and tested and validated. So theories are things that have been validated. It's a rule that has been validated. We have several methods of doing testing of the theory, or we call it validating the theory. So that is theory. So I want you to understand theory first before we move into theory. So you should not say that why should we believe, because this is just a theory. Theory is true until it is proven wrong. Meaning that in order to say gravity theory is wrong, you need to provide a different theory to nullify that the gravity theory is wrong. Meaning you say, okay, why things fall? Because gravity. Now you say there is no gravity. Now you prove. So you need to. So we will move into the theories. Yeah, the theory that we will learn today, Lewin's change model theory. Okay, Lewin's change model, according to Lewin's, when you want to change the organization, yeah, there are three phases. There are three stages. One is three stage. So Lewis model, you need to have these three stage. One is you need to prepare to change. You unfreeze. So bearing in mind, when you have organization already have their existing procedure written in SOP, in manual, you have policies. So in order to change, there might be a lot of reason for you to change. Maybe you want to do business resource, BPR, business process redesign, or re-engineering, or you want to change your whole business model. You need to unfreeze first. Yes, Saiful?
Prof, just thinking, processing what you just now. So I think this, from what I understand lah, throughout this morning, what you said, is it Lewis change model? In order for us to change our current culture, we need to unfreeze first the current culture.
Okay.
We need to unfreeze our current culture before to the new culture. Is it?
Okay. There are two things. I don't want you to get confused. Okay, culture has been embedded in you. So in yourself, individually, in a group of people, they have been embedded in you. But besides the culture, now you have your SOP manual, things that you do things, and that how you do things. Now we want to change. We want to change. This culture is the obstacle. Culture is an obstacle. Things that have been embedded with you, and then now you want to change. So you need to remove this culture. Okay, there are two things here: culture, which is embedded in you, and the policy. We can change the policy, but without you accepting what is going to be changed, you will not change. So we will do an activity to unfreeze. We call it unfreeze. Unfreeze is to change this, and then for you to release your culture, things that have been your belief. You believe, say, this is what we're going to sell. For example, like say Kodak, for example. Okay, one thing, and okay, I want to add things on something for you. Okay, for example, like to make you clearer, go back. Okay, this is the rule. Okay, I will clear this off. Okay, what makes certain companies that have been successful all this while suddenly fail? For example, okay, Kodak, this is related to our topic of change. Kodak, Nokia, and then say IBM, mainframe. If you have another, you have remember DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, DEC. What made these companies fail? Okay, these companies have good management. These companies have good management. Listen to their customers' demand, to their customers' needs. Listen to customers' needs, and then maintain quality in management quality. Maintain quality of products. Maintain quality, product quality. Yeah. So whatever there is about management, well managed, you can check. You can look at their records. Kodak is a good company. Another company, Xerox. They even have research, Xerox. Yeah. Even the GUI that have been used, graphic user interface, started from Xerox. Yes. Graphic user interface that have been used by the screen that we see today, graphic user interface, that used in Windows and Apple, started from Xerox. But what happened to this company? Xerox is taken over by Fuji, become Fuji Xerox. We have HP. and compact. Yeah, compact. So what happened to this company? What is the reason for them to fail and lost the market share, their market share? Why?
Prof, can I try to answer?
Yes.
They fail to follow the fast changing of technology.
They fail to follow the fast changing of company. Why? They fail to follow?
Like I think Kodak marketing myopia maybe because they didn't. I
Okay.
think they are too proud of themselves. So they said
Too
that
proud of themselves.
yeah, they said that it's okay. We don't have to follow trend, follow what is the latest.
Okay, I am citing a professor from Harvard, yeah, Christensen. You can cite this as well, Christensen. Christensen, Harvard prof in Harvard. So according to Clayton Christensen, the reason for these companies to fail that they failed was due to good management. Good management made them fail. Is it so? Because you are learning management. Now you say, according to Clayton Christensen, these companies fail because of good management. They do well managed, they listen to the customer's need, they maintain product quality, they are the best in their market. That made them fail. So companies need to have what you call it situational appropriateness. Some products that try to venture into the market, for example, like Betamax versus VHS, advanced technology still fails. Although the technology is there, technology is not the reason for you to be successful. It must be situational appropriateness. Things that you put up in the market must be appropriate to the customer that you targeted. Otherwise, you need to have, if it is meant for a certain niche, you just cater for the certain niche. If you meant to, for example, Rolex, nobody can buy Rolex. If Rolex try to sell the market to the large community, they might not be successful, but they have their own niche. So it's called situational appropriateness. So that is the reason. I think is that the one that so what good management, listening to customers and so on, they have been embraced. This is the culture in the organization. When you work for a long time in the organization, it becomes your culture. So culture is the obstacle for change. Especially when you're coming into new technology. But remember, bear in mind that not all technology fit to everybody at all times. You need to we call it market readiness. The market need to be ready with the technology. Otherwise, it will be expensive. It will be not acceptable. You don't have users to use them and so on. So we go back to our screen, our slide. Yeah. When we talk about unfreezing, we have not gone into, we have yet to move into removing the culture. We intend to remove the culture. So how do we remove the culture? We need to communicate. Communicate to the staff, to the stakeholders, and stakeholders include the director, the shareholders, the people, the suppliers, the customers, the staff, all levels of staff. What changes are we making? Why do we need to make the change? When do we make the change? How do we make the change? Who will be affected by the change? Yeah, so this is, we need to communicate to them. Yeah, so we will start communicating with them. And then now we need to get buy-in. Yeah, get buy-in. This is what we need to get buy-in. Get buy-in. Get buy-in, yeah. Get buy-ins, meaning that we want to draw on others, get their input, get their ideas. How do we make the change? How do you make the change? And then in order to make the change, we need to define what is the objective of the change. Why do we need to make the change? What is the objective? How do we measure the change? Whether we are there yet. For example, we are moving to, like I always mentioned, we are moving to Kuala Lumpur, to Johor Bahru. We need to know where are we now. Are we in Melaka, or suddenly we are in Batu Pahat, or we are Batu Pahat, or we are in, say, Batu Gajah, or somewhere in north. So we need to have a success criteria to measure what are the resources that we have. Do we have enough resources to make the changes? What is the schedule for the changes? And then how do we budget for the changes? And then we will finalize our work plan. And then once we finalize the work plan, then we will have to assign leaders and implementation teams. So this is what we call freezing and unfreezing, preparing for the change. Yes. So this is removing the obstacle. So culture that have been embedded in you, so you need to remove them. Embedded in the organization, remove them, get buy-in, communicate. So this is unfreezing. So whatever SOP there is, so you say, okay, we put on hold the SOP, we will be making the change, and then we will start changing. So there will be a new SOP and so on. So during the interim period, this is what we're going to do. Okay, we have a deadline, we have objectives, success criteria, so you need to develop teams. Teams in charge of certain area, IT, teams in charge of operations, teams in charge of finance, and so on, to develop the change related to the change. Okay, any questions so far in terms of unfreezing?
Doctor,
Yes, Stefan.
another question. You mentioned about communicating and then drawing interest of others to get their buy-in. But like in the case of larger corporation lah, like let's say we talk about Apple lah, right? Apple is huge. Okay, let's say they want to change something, they want to unfreeze. They communicated and then they draw all the employees to get their buy-in. But since they are huge, so there will be resistance lah from the older employees lah. So I noticed that in most cases, these people they will they will do two things. Either they will leave. Second thing, they will incite others to be rebellious now. So how, let's say for unfreezing to be successful, is it need to be 100%, or it can be a mere 70%? We can consider it already fulfilled the unfreezing process.
Okay, unfreezing, we need to have 100%. We need to be 100%. All because we need to get even though there are objections, you need to know what are the objections, because we need to tackle them. We will cover that. How do we tackle them after this? There is a force field analysis. There is another topic of force field analysis. How do we analyze? But we need to tackle all. We need, although we will not to go detail of granular in terms of granularity the problem, but we need to account for every issues, so that we need to tackle them. If we don't know the issues, then we will not be able to tackle them. Even there is one grievances, staff say that this is for the benefit of the company, and also of course, and also benefit of the individual, but we look into it. You need to communicate everything to the staff, and then you need to get everybody's buy-in, because you need to have the support of everyone, and then so that we can measure the success criteria. Everybody. It's like a moving of a house. Saiful. You are moving a house. You have your company, not your family, say your company, which is now in Kuala Lumpur. You're moving to Melaka. Can you leave someone behind?
I think I need to.
You need to leave someone behind.
Because of the location and so far.
Okay.
Kalau betul nak.
Okay, this is because I have moved office actually. I have moved office. So, okay, this is just background story. When I was working with the one company that I work with is called Faber Merlin Malaysia Berhad. Faber Merlin Malaysia Berhad. Today it is known as UEM Agenta. UEM Agenta that maintains the highway. Earlier it was known as Faber Merlin Malaysia Berhad. We had our office at the Wisma Merlin. Wisma Merlin is actually at Jalan Sultan Ismail. Today it's known as Wisma Concord. It's next to the Concord Hotel. There is a building where at the below it is the Harley. Or you have this motorcycle Harley Davidson, the Hard Rock Cafe. That rock. So on the first floor. So we moved from there to not to Melaka lah. We moved from there to Wisma Desa. Wisma Desa at Old Klang Road. We moved. So they need to get buy-in because moving from Kuala Lumpur out to outskirts back then is far. So even the company even organized during the interim period of 6 months, the company even organized bus service, meaning that they pick the staff for a certain period until they can organize their transportation and so on, because some staff can with their husband working there and then moving to, it's not in their route, for example. So that is for a certain period. That is unfreezing, but we have not yet moving. This is just unfreezing. We need to get buy-in first. Yes, you need to strategize. How do we make the changes? Even if moving to Melaka, from KL to Melaka, for example, you need to, somebody may not buy in, but you need to, in terms of the company, you need to see that you have all the team so that your team can work well in the new setup. Yeah, in a new way. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other question? Okay. Now we move into moving. Then after you have determined what is your objective, what the success criteria, the resources, schedule, budget, and so on. So you will continue to motivate others involved. You will train, coach, train, lead, and then you provide appropriate resources. Yeah, we provide the appropriate resources based on your objective, success criteria, what the resources required. And then you will continue to provide ongoing feedback. Yeah, so these leaders will provide ongoing feedback. So ongoing feedback will be based on the objectives. Yeah, what is the objective that they have? Yeah, so the resources, the schedule, budget, so provide ongoing feedback. So you need to know that you are making the change. Yeah, you are moving, you are making the change. Now we are start moving. Yes, so this is moving. So after you have progressed, you have measured, and then you will start into institutionalizing back, meaning that your company will start to be refreezing. Yeah, refreezing. Refreezing is the process of you institutionalizing back what you have unfreezed earlier. So you need to monitor the progress against the success criteria. So you will re-establish back the processes system to institutionalize the change, establish control back, because during the change, things are loose. Then you need to re-establish, recognize and reward individuals for exhibiting new behavior, and provide feedback, motivation, additional training, yeah, for the individuals are not exhibiting the new behavior. This is Louis' change model. According to Louis, in order to make change, you need to undergo this three process, which is to unfreeze, preparing for the change, moving, making the change, and then you refreeze, institutionalize back into a new environment, a new system, new way of doing things. Okay, any question? Okay, so how do we measure? So Lewins have extended this change model theory to include force field analysis. Force field analysis look into two things. What is the driving factor? You call it driving force and restraining force. Yeah, driving force and restraining forces. So driving forces is the positive forces that motivate people to change. It is the belief, expectation, norms that try to encourage the change and give them change of momentum. And then there is another one we call restraining forces. Restraining forces is the negative force that make it difficult for the team to accept the change or to implement the change, to work for implementing the change. So there are two driving forces and restraining forces. Yeah, so you need to measure what. So in the beginning, when you start making the change, when you start moving, you may face that the the restraining forces are more than just driving force. Restraining forces, why do, when Saiful asked just now, so now we ask, get information, feedback from the staff. They say, okay, they might fear that they might lose their job, and then they might to undergo new training. They are comfortable with these new things that they have to do, and then they have distrust on this project team. This is example of this restraining forces. But driving forces, maybe this is good for the organization. So over time, when you consulted them, motivated them, so there will be changes. And then when we start doing the change, you can see the restraining forces and the driving forces can be increased. So we provide opportunity to perform work in a better way, interesting way, can improve the productivity and so on. The new automation will allow them to better serve their customers. Yeah, so the driving force will increase, and then eventually the restraining forces will decrease. So that is the Lewis force field analysis. Okay, any question on the Lewis change model and Lewis force field analysis? Any questions so far? Yes, Saiful?
No, so far no. Okay.
Okay, so you list everything, but you need to group them, classify them or categorize them. So, and then you break them into restraining forces and driving forces, and then you measure. Yeah, so we need to tackle the restraining forces, and then we look into adding the driving forces. Okay, any question, Anis or Rosia?
Dr. Sharudin, out of
Yes.
curiosity, can I, based on your experience, can I know the success rate of the Lewis change model?
The success rate?
Yeah.
How?
What I mean is, most of company practicing this, then does the staff follow?
Oh, I'm not sure about that, because this
Yeah.
is a theory. A theory have been proven. When you know it's a theory, meaning they have to be proven. So they have tested this, but I don't have the statistical figures.
I think, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any question? Any other question? Shaza? Anybody else? Afika? Kesavan?
Prof, I have question,
Yes.
but that's not on these two forces. I want to ask because during the earlier classes, you've mentioned that MIS, for a company to have a system, they have to like macam oversee the future actions of the company itself, so that the system can be what you call evergreen towards the end. But then today you mentioned that a company should have the situational appropriateness.
Appropriateness. Okay,
Yes.
situational appropriateness. Okay.
Yes.
Something when you move, okay, situational preparedness is not that it's not restraining you from moving ahead. When you move ahead, you need to know the position where your market is fit for you, for your direction. For example, when okay, when we're looking at these companies, the old companies, they didn't make their changes. So, but in terms of management, we're talking about management. They are well managed. They are well managed. For example, like Nokia, they are well managed. So, but they don't adopt that. The reason you can see there because they did adopt new technology, but they wouldn't see the new technology because they are pretty well managed, very well managed. They understand the customers, what do the customers want, and then so they are very regimented or very institutionalized, So when you very institutionalized, you are well managed. So everything you follow SOP and so on. And then there are things that come in, new things that come in because you have embedded your culture to proceed with such a way so you don't really look into changes into technology. That is one thing. The other thing is even you take up the technology, you do not know whether technology will be successful or not. There are also companies that embark into new technology, for example, like VHS and Betamax, still yet they fail. So according to this Christensen, Professor Christensen, say why they fail is because they do not see their situational appropriateness. Situational appropriateness, whether you are appropriate or not to that situation. It's just like this. When you address certain word, actually situational appropriateness more related to language, but this is not language. This is about technology. When you want to implement certain technology, you need to be appropriate to your customer, to the customer. The customer may have certain tendencies to certain technology, or familiar with certain things, or have purchasing power. For example, they have limited purchasing power. So you need to be appropriate to reach there. Otherwise, if you go beyond, or then it will be, for example, you see, when you see, say, iPhone implemented in the market, they are successful. Why? Because it is easy. It is appropriate for people to use. Back in the initial days, now it's very expensive. And then you can just swipe. You can just swipe to use instead of you have to key in several buttons to find because the old Nokia, actually you can find several buttons. They are a lot of, say, modes or things that you step that you need to do to change certain processors and so on. So it is easy. This is what I mean. Am I clear, Afrika?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any other question?
Okay, Dr. Rosia here.
Yes.
Okay, just now we go through about the organization culture and change, and also living change model. Okay, what the good about technology is growth, follow the changes, means the once anything changes and technology also together. Okay, but we go to the culture, sometimes as we know, it's very difficult to company or organization to change the culture, sometimes because of the cost. For me, what I'm thinking is like culture is already created earlier, but the technology always change, follow the times. So maybe this is more practicable for the big company or stable, it's not stable, like the company that very commit with the SOP and everything, but it's not for the like SME or the company have or the organization that have only less than 50 staff like that. Is it
Okay.
correct, Doctor?
The way I look at it is different. The way I look at it, which company, large company, between large and company and small company, which is more difficult to change? From your experience, or from what you can see, which is more difficult to change? Large company or small company?
Small company. I don't know why, but because I'm working with two types of company before this. For the big company, they have the rules like very strictly with the procedure, everything, because created earlier. But
So,
the I don't know, but the small company is very a bit difficult to.
okay, let's ask your friends. Saiful, which is more difficult to change? Large company or small company? Or anybody else? Anis?
Big company, because it involves a lot of people. They have different preference, belief, values.
The way the way that I look, actually, from my years of experience working with the industry, it's more difficult to change the large company. Large company is difficult to change. That's why those that fails, those companies that fail are large companies. Their cultures have been embedded in them. They have strict procedures. They have properly set systems, online, computerized system. Everything is being set, and then you want to change. It's difficult for them to change. Compared to a smaller organization is easier to change. This is from my experience. From what I can see, is easier to change a small company rather than changing a large company, because the culture has been embedded. That's why when we talk about doing change model, you need to communicate, you need to get buy-in, you need to define the objective, you need to have a work plan, you need to have assigned leaders and the implementation teams. These leaders may have multi layers of teams, so that you need to go across the whole organization when you want to change. So it involves a lot of costs, of course, but these are large companies. They can have resources. They need to determine their resources that they have scheduled. This change can be a year or somehow. So it's not whenever you want to change, you just change immediately. It will take a bit some time to make the changes, because it is meant for large company. For smaller company, or SME or small or micro is easier. So you can just make change, because the culture involves not many people. Okay, this is what I see. Yes, Vicky.
Doctor, I agree with your view, because when you talk coming to large company, like we are working for multinational companies, it's global company. It's not easy. It's not easy for you to change a difference in the company, especially if you come out with the budget, you go about the costing, so the business model will change. And there's a lot of hierarchy you have to go follow. You have to go for regional people, sales people. You have to go for global directors. So these changes will make a lot of documentations and meeting. So we'll take, not say 1 year, it's going to be 1 or 2 years, because the budget you put it for 5 years budget, 3 years budget, you cannot change simply. And it will interrupt you in so many level of hierarchies, and because sometimes the director will change, sometimes the manager will change. So each people having a lot of views, changes. You will involving finance department here. You will involving finance department. They have to change their system also. It's not easy actually to bring changes in large company. Thank you.
So at the end, what I see is, actually, I was an auditor. At the end of it, when you go audit and you see there are still some people who is ignorant of the change. Oh, did we change? Sudah tukar ke?
Yes, correct, Doctor. Sometimes they didn't realize we already changed, but is it true we changed?
Did we really change? So large companies is more difficult to change. It's a smaller company, because this change model is meant for large company. Actually, it's meant for So smaller companies doesn't have so much detailed work. Yeah. So, but this is difficulty of changing large companies. Okay, any other question? Then we move into the next one, yeah, Leavitt's diamond. Leavitt's diamond, looks at, this is another theory, the theory by Leavitt. Leavitt looks at relationship between the four main components in organizational system. There are these tasks, the people, task, structure, and technology. People, task, structure, and technology. So whenever there is change in structure, there will be change in technology, there will be change in tasks, and also change in people. So whenever change in tasks, it will affect the change in structure, change in technology, and change in people. So according to Leavitt, any change in any of these components will affect the other three components. So any change of this element will necessitate a change in the other three elements. Yeah, for example, like you add a new task. When you add a new task, you need to add someone there for the task, changing people. And then when you put in people, you need to create a new organization chart. You put them in, the person in. So they change in structure. And then it will involve change of technology because the tasks require new technology. Then maybe you change the technology. This technology will prompt a new task. And then with the new task, you will require a new person. The new person, you add it in the structure. We change people will come with new idea, they will come with new technology, they will have an idea, for example, change the CEO, will have change the structure, they will change the task. Same goes, so anywhere of the change, they will affect the three other change. This is Leavitt's diamond theory. Yeah, Leavitt's diamond theory. So, and then involved in this is the organizational learning. It involves organizational learning, which is adaptation and adjustment. Okay, one thing I want to ask, what is the difference between organizational learning and individual learning? Organizational learning. What is organizational learning? Versus individual learning. Yes, Vicky? What is it?
What I know is organizational learning involving a lot of departments, a lot of different view from a few peoples, which is will combine together to come out on solution and learning process. Individual learning is based on specifically one person to involving on the making decision and learning process. That's how I understand roughly.
Okay, anybody else have different idea?
Betul, saya pun betul.
Yes.
I think for organizational learning versus individual learning, individual is personal like Vicky said. Like for organizational learning, I think it is more on the collective side. How a company or how an organization collect all their previous experiences, what they experience, they retain, and then they improve. So they learn lah. Yeah.
They learn. Individual learn.
No, organizational.
Organizational learn. How does organization learn?
Past experience.
And then where do they put them?
They put them I think into types. One is documented via system or procedures, new sets of procedures. And the one is tacit knowledge among the experienced staff lah. Okay. And then they improve the processes lah. In time.
Okay. Anybody else have different idea? Afika or Anis?
Dr. Sharudin,
Yes.
from what I understand, organizational learning is what the organization learn within the industry. So it's a bigger scope. For individual learning is what an individual, a staff, learn surround in their organization?
Okay. It's like this. Organizational learning, individual learning is what you learn, whether you learn in the group or learn individually. You can learn in the group, but you study in the group, but you learn individually. For example, like you go for your workshop. You go for your workshop. So the workshop is to develop skill, improve method, or so on. So you go, the company send you to a workshop. So 5 of you go to workshop. So you learn in the workshop so that it will be implemented later. So what you do there is individual learning. You learn in the workshop. Say you go for your degree, master, MBA, that is individual learning. When you go for training, that is individual learning. Whatever you learn, that you absorb cognitively for your own or for a group of people is individual learning. So everything you have been learning is individual learning, because from individual learning, you have individual knowledge. When you have individual knowledge, you can bring that knowledge to another company. When you leave the company, when you resign, you can go to another company and bring your knowledge. So what you learn, you go to workshop, you go to training, you go people or whatever company send to you, or you go for your study, bachelor, master, PhD, whatever. That when you go to another company, you can bring the knowledge with you. That is individual knowledge. Individual knowledge comes from individual learning. Okay, so now we look into organizational learning. Organizational learning occurred by the organization. The organization, how do the organization learn? The organization experience when people cheat the organization, fraud. When the organization does not make profit, fails multiple years, loss. That is organizational learning. And then how do the organization learn? They look into profitability, say we don't meet our break-even point. How do we make a break-even point? We have to reduce our cost, and we make changes into the system. We make changes into the procedure to prevent fraud. We make changes in the system so that we make sure that we only sell things with a profit. We make changes in the system so that we look into our contribution margin. So the contribution margin for every product and services must be profitability. We develop our organizational knowledge. Where is this organizational knowledge? Organizational knowledge is kept in policies, in procedures, in system, in the way you do, how you do things, the structure of the organization, the task, the SOP in the organization, the technology that you have in the organization, things that you build up into the organization. So that is the organizational knowledge. Any staff who left the organization will not bring over their whole organizational knowledge, because organizational knowledge are embedded in SOP, in the computerized system, in the way of doing things, in the culture, in the policy, and so on. Those are organizational knowledge. So no one staff will be able to bring out organizational knowledge and left the the organizational will be able to keep their knowledge as long as they operate. Does that answer you, Saiful? Or Anis?
Yes, Doctor. Doctor, I'm so sorry for my ignorance. Can I just ask the question, if we can go back to the slide before this, David Diamond?
Okay.
Can I get more information about structure?
Okay, structure is the organizational structure of the organization.
Does it mean the org chart, is it?
Yes, the org chart, how you do things, and then
okay. Org chart, SOP, policy,
SOP, policies, certain
company handbook.
Yes.
I see.
The
Okay.
structure, when the task in your your JD, your task will relate your technology. So she's a okay, any question on terms of from this David Diamond say that when David Diamond relates to the organizational learning, they will be adjusted. Yeah, so this adjust with the experience, adaptation, based on experience, meaning company have been cheated, there is fraud. They can see things that can be improved. They need put in new policies and so on. So you embed this into your policies, procedures, system, tasks, relate to the people, task structure, technology, everything there. So this is organizational learning, related to organizational learning. It is not your individual learning that you go and say brainstorm. Brainstorm is still individual learning until you use that brainstorm ideas and then you change the structure. You change the SOP, you change the task, you change the system, computerized system, you change, so that then it becomes the organizational learning. Yeah, does that answer you, Vicky?
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
yes,
I think no, it's correct lah. What you said is again is answering. But if you ask me, the knowledge and the experience gathered together to make a decision in the organization is more is kind of key things lah. What I'm
yes,
thinking.
but it is not it does not become an organizational learning until you embed them into the organization. So you learn in you. I mean, I see a lot of people confused. So when you do study group, you group together, do brainstorm. You assume, okay, this is organizational learning. No, you learn. What you learn is your individual learning. You will bring it out when you leave the organization. So the question is, when you leave the organization, what happened to organizational knowledge? The organization doesn't have knowledge. So organizational learning relates to organizational knowledge. So where is the organizational knowledge? Organization, you can see the organization is not in organization. Individuals are in the organization, but organization is beyond the individual. Organization is the policies, everything set up in the systematic way. That is the organization. Remember, we learned about organization. It's not just the individual. So if anybody left the organization and bring the knowledge out, then you don't have organizational knowledge. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure about it, but there is an incident that some people told me. Say we develop what calls transportation system. We develop a transportation system. Say, just give an example, MRT, LRT, we develop a transportation system. We send our people out to do, of course, when we buy LRT from Bombardier or from some other companies, we will send our staff for training, right? We will send our people for training, our engineers for training. They will learn. Is it individual learning or organizational learning?
Individual.
Individual learning. When coming back, they are there as a support staff. And then company will run, the LRT will function normally. Yeah. And then all these bunch, say you send 20 people, all this over a period of time, all these 20 people left the organization, joined another company, left the organization and joined the other company. They bring out, is there organizational knowledge in the company?
No.
No, there is no organizational knowledge.
Basic knowledge that time.
Yeah, because they bring it out.
Doctor, they will be, if let's say they actually formalize the SOP for the company.
If they actually formalize an SOP for the company, it will become an organizational knowledge. Yeah, organizational learning and organizational knowledge. If they did not formalize an SOP, they went out, join another company, there is no knowledge in the organization. So when the LRT was stuck, we will have 2 weeks to call for people for what do you call it, servicing from people from the supplier. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
So doctor, basically that is what happened lah. This is a real story lah.
This is a real story.
Okay, wow.
That's why we need to have organizational learning. Anybody leave the company, this is to cover in knowledge management. I also teach knowledge management. Knowledge management is there are two types, yeah, individual knowledge and organizational knowledge. Organizational knowledge will be there in the organization regardless whether you leave or not. But too bad, most organizations, when they send people for training, what they learn in training, workshop, or brainstorm are not embedded in the organization. So it's not organizational knowledge. This is still individual knowledge. That because people are get confused. Oh, we have organizational knowledge. Whose knowledge? Oh, my CEO has knowledge. When your CEO pass away, of course we don't want our CEO to pass away. Pass away, demise of our CEO, or our COO join another company. Everybody, and then you have new people. Nobody have knowledge because there is no organizational knowledge. Everybody have keep on their own individual knowledge. Okay, that is this and then we'll cover. Okay, this is user satisfaction, UTAUT, and technology acceptance model. Then can we take a break and for 15 minutes?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, we'll take a break for 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we will continue. Everyone is back here. Okay, after we covered a few topics, we have covered a few theories. We covered change model, Lewin's change model. We have covered Lewin's force field analysis. We have covered Leavitt's diamond. Now we move to another theory, which is related to the acceptance of technology by people. So it is called technology acceptance model. It is another theory, a very old theory. There is a newer theory. This theory came from theory of planned behavior, TPB, theory of planned behavior. It derived from theory of planned behavior, which is a marketing theory. And then from this theory, we have another theory we call universal technology theory of UTAUT. Universal theory of acceptance and use of technology, UTAUT theory, which is another theory. But for this class, we only cover the topic of technology acceptance model. Technology acceptance model, we look into factors that lead to the behavioral intention to use technology. Yeah, behavioral intention technology. So whenever there are external variables, you can name external variables like the price, whatever external variables, the product, and some information about the product, and then so it move into two main things. One is we call the perceived usefulness of the technology and perceived ease of use of the technology. Remember, this comes from a marketing theory. So when you talk about perceived usefulness of the technology, meaning that is the technology useful? The question is the technology useful? What is the usefulness of the technology? Is the technology useful? Yeah. Technology useful, meaning that what you can use the technology for. For example, let's say our smartphone is a technology. So what can we use it for? We can do banking transaction. We can browse the web. We can install applications, a lot of applications. We can buy airline tickets. So the technology is useful. And then the next question is, the technology is easy to use. Is it easy to use? How easy is about user friendliness?
Question ada Saiful.
Yes.
Okay, the word perceive in both in the diagram, perceive usefulness, perceive ease of use. Does it mean that majoritarily accepted or majority perceive as being useful, being ease of use, rather than in fact it is useful, in fact
it is not fact.
Okay,
it is not fact, it is just perception. So it is just perception. Okay, so how do we get perception? Okay, this theory is a quantitative model. It's developed by quantitative research. It is developed by quantitative research. I will cover later about between quantitative and qualitative. This theory derived from a quantitative research. Quantitative research is a statistical research, meaning that it has a theory, and the theory is from the theory that we develop hypothesis, and this hypothesis is tested statistically. When you say tested statistically, it is not based on population, it is based on sample. And then you ask the sample, there is a questionnaire, then you ask your sample respondent, and then they will say, is it useful or is not useful? Their answer is about useful and usefulness, but it is their perception. It is not actually, because who knows the actual usefulness or actually whether it is easy to use is the provider. But we look at the customer end. At the customer end is the acceptance model. This theory is about the acceptance. When people want to accept your technology, it is from their perception. Perception only. It is not fact. It is perception. It is perception. Perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use. It's just perception. From this perception, whether the customer say, is the technology useful? Oh, it is useful. I can use this to order Grab, to order food, and so on. Oh, technology is useful. It is their perception. Yeah, this is their perception. Whether it's true or not, that is another question. So it is their perception. So, and then it will create towards their attitude towards using the technology. And then, is it easy to use? I can just even my young children can use it. So it is easy to use. So create another attitude. So according to this technology acceptance model theory, this is a theory, technology acceptance model theory, they have tested, they have validated the theory, they have verified the theory with certain statistics in certain country, in certain location, and then in Malaysia also the researchers did a lot of technology acceptance model in some locations in Malaysia with different technology. They measure whether certain technology may be IoT, maybe e-wallet, certain technology, whether it is useful or easy to use, and then will derive the attitudes towards using the technology. Just the attitude. From this attitude will lead toward behavioral intention. Do you want to use the technology? Yes, I want to use the technology. Behavioral intention, the technology. The behavioral intention. The keyword here is intention. Just intend to use the technology. Whether they use or not is different thing. But from the portion of those that intended to use, some of them will be actually using the technology. So this is the theory of technology acceptance model. It specifies the factors that can lead to better attitudes towards the technology, and then the factors that technology acceptance model talk about is perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, whether it is easy to use or whether it is useful. This is the theory. Yeah. So according to this technology acceptance model, perceived usefulness, bottom here, perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use strongly influence whether someone will use an information or if we use a technology. Yeah. So in this respect, in our course, it's about information system. So management can improve the perception by demonstrating that others have used the system effectively and providing user training and support. Create usefulness, create ease of use. So we have used these and these and this. So whenever you look into technology, usually the products will say, okay, you can use this. What will be the case studies? Success stories. Success stories, they have used this technology to improve their health, measurement of health. So that is usefulness. Ease of use. Is it easy to use? Or it is easy to use? We call it user friendliness. Yeah. Then they will derive towards the attitude towards using the technology. Okay. Okay. Yes, Saiful.
Doctor Saiful, the question. After perceive, usually perceive ease of use, there is attitude toward using, and then followed by behavioral. Okay, you mentioned just now about the attitude, like you mentioned about my kids can also use, and it is so easy to use. So that is their attitude towards using. But how is it different between behavioral intention with attitude? So because from my understanding, behavioral intention is not yet they are using. They're not yet using. So how is it differ from between the behavioral and
behavioral intention is actually they have a positive or negative attitude towards the technology. They have not used it yet. So I think the technology is good, for example. Yeah. So it is a positive or negative attitude towards the technology. So I'm looking my I need to see the plus. Yeah. So it is a positive and negative attitudes towards the technology. Yeah. So it can be positive. Yeah. Positive or negative towards the technology. Yeah, so you can attitude. What is I have a positive attitude about the technology, but do you want to use it? I want to use it. So that is intention. Yeah, attitude. Whether you want to use, so it's a good technology, but I don't want to use it. It's not suitable to me. It is good, useful. It is easy to use. It is positive. It is positively. It is a good technology. But do you want to use it? I don't want to use it.
Doctor, sorry to interrupt. So basically, you mean to say that depends of either positive or negative. Let's say for positive lah, a person have a positive attitude towards the technology, but they may use the technology, or
they may have some reason that they don't want the technology. It's useful, yes. Yeah.
Depending on the circumstances, like maybe the cost, maybe the team,
the price,
the size of the enterprise. Is it?
Yes.
Depending on that. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. And then and then there will be another question. These are the questionnaire. Remember, this is quantitative. Quantitative research will develop questionnaire. I will explain later what is quantitative and what is qualitative. For your information, I'm a qualitative researcher. I'm not a quantitative researcher. Frankly, I don't really believe in quantitative or social science, but I will not. Okay. And then there is another set of questions. You want to use it? Do you have one? No, I don't have one. So it is actual system usage. Do you use or not? Maybe only a certain percentage use. I intend to buy because it is good and so on, but I have not purchased it. Why? Then there will be another reason that they don't really purchase it. There is intended, but there is, I think, behavioral intention will be too expensive. But so I will not buy it. It is useful, it's good, but it's too expensive. I will not buy it. And then another question will be, I want to buy it, but do you buy it? I didn't buy it, so they didn't buy it. So this is another question there. Yeah, actual system use. Is it clear, Saiful?
Yes, doctor, very clear. Thank you so much.
Okay, actually, when you do quantitative research, these are sets of questions. perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use. There are sets of questions. They have a set of questions that people tick, and then there is a Likert scale, and they respond, and then you calculate it statistically. Statistically, you measure the hypothesis statistically. From there, you get the result. Okay, this is another theory, technology acceptance model. There is another theory, very old theory, 1970s. We call it theory developed by E.M. Rogers, called the diffusion of innovation theory, DIT theory, diffusion of innovation theory. Diffusion of innovation says that this is from, just now it's about acceptance. You put a theory and then you look into the market acceptance, whether the market will accept your theory or not. This will also relate to the one that I think Rosia asked about just now about situational appropriateness. Of course, we can push our product or technology to the market, but whether it is appropriate to the situation of the customer. It is good, but we don't have internet. Our internet is bad. Our internet is poor. So the technology is good, but it is not really appropriate to our situation. Yeah, that is this. So we can look into this technology acceptance model. Actually, I intend to use, but I don't have internet, so I don't buy. For example, something like that. So that is also related to situational appropriateness that I think Rosia, I think you asked just now, right? Okay, before the break. So, and then there is another theory. This is from this theory is from the users end, from the marketing end, from the customers end. And then this is a theory from the technology developer. When the technology developer, they push the product into the market, so there is a process, but this is a phase. There is a phase that company and that people will start to use your technology, and the technology will diffuse into the population. Yeah, diffuse into the population or subset of the organization. The technology will diffuse. So there will be certain group of people, different groups of people. We have innovators. Innovators, they will be the first one to try new products. So you say, I think you should understand now there are products, we call it alpha products, alpha testing. And then we have product which do beta testing for IT, for information testing. For other technology, they might have different sort of testing. For example, in vitro, for biology, they have in vitro, they have in vivo. So this is for biology, biotech, and so on. But for computer science or IT, we have alpha testing and beta testing. Alpha testing is the test that we do in lab. We don't have user or customer to use them. Beta testing, we allow certain number of customer to use, but they don't have to pay. So whatever problem, they will bear the risk with us. For example, if using our system and then their computer crash, they bear the risk. So, but we don't charge them. So that is beta testing, and then they will do commercial. After beta testing, when we do commercial, so we have an adopter category which is called innovator. They are risk taker. They will first to try new products and ideas. Even we give beta test beta products, they will use beta products. When WhatsApp first came into the market, they were beta, but people still use beta. Maybe they're aware or not, if the product spoil their system, WhatsApp will not be responsible because it is a beta product. So written there, this is beta. So
Prof,
yes.
Prof, I was thinking, what we call Prof, because just now we noticed the changes and everything. It's look like if I didn't follow the Prof said WhatsApp just now. So now we can see the WhatsApp also changes based on follow the technologies. But this is did we call this a duplicate? Prof, get this is innovation. I understand that, but if everyone is changes, follow the technologies, then certain we go back like gone like Nokia, everything. But there is there is similar or duplicate story. Is it like everything is just like duplicate? I do A, everyone want to do A. What's your view, Prof, on the technology movement?
Okay, technology movement. Technology movement. There are two ways of looking at things. Because I also teach entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship. What I tell my students is there are two ways of looking at things. There are problem. You understand the problem. You develop technology to solve the problem. But currently, not many situations is like that. Yeah, some of the situation is actually you have opportunity, you develop technology. From the opportunity, you find the appropriate market for your opportunity, the technology, the appropriate market where appropriate situation that you can sell the product. For example, when we were using Nokia 3310, there is no problem. We can make a call. So we have never expected that we want to have we want to do transaction. Of course, you can do some simple transaction using you call it WAP, wireless access protocol, but we don't really look into the full scale computerization that you can send. You can even edit your word and so on. We don't expect to do that, but the developer of the technology looks at Linux or Android, and also iOS looks at opportunity. They looks at opportunity, and then this opportunity can substitute the current product. We look at opportunity. So not really that everybody has to follow whoever comes in, but there are people who can look at at opportunity. We can provide this opportunity. Entrepreneurial people, entrepreneurship that look into opportunities that can not really solve problem. The target, the initial, it is not based on solving problem. It is based on opportunity. There is an opportunity to improvise certain things using this technology, and then we need to see appropriateness of the technology to the situation of the community. I'm not sure whether that answers your question or not. Does that answer your question, Rosia?
Yes, Prof. It's answer because it's a go to entrepreneurship. I understand that, but like I'm curious why everyone must.
Everyone must use. And then in terms of the customer, not all customer using WhatsApp. For example, in Malaysia, we use WhatsApp, but you move to another country, some countries doesn't use WhatsApp. For example, in Korea, they don't use WhatsApp.
Okay, means that go back to the culture practice also lah.
Yeah, in Korea, they have another system. They call it Kakao Talk.
Kakao Talk.
Kakao Talk. They use Kakao Talk because everybody in Korea use Kakao Talk. Anybody use WhatsApp? I use WhatsApp in Korea when I went to Korea, but nobody received my message because I send message. Then they don't have. They have WhatsApp, but they don't read their WhatsApp message. For example, in Malaysia, we have BIM, we have Signal. Signal, we have Telegram. Yeah, Signal. Anybody use Signal?
No.
We have Signal, we have BIM, we have many other Signal BIP. We have BIP, BIP, and then we have Signal. But many people still use WhatsApp. You know, so anybody use BIP, BIP or Signal?
Okay. In Thailand, they're using Line app.
In Thailand, using Line, LINE, Line.
In China, they use the WeChat mostly.
In China, they use WeChat, yes.
So back again to their culture also like their practice, their culture, even though the market duplicate. But
why do we use WhatsApp? Because everybody use WhatsApp.
Yes.
So yes, if everybody if you go to Thailand, for example, you will use Line. because everybody use line. If you use WhatsApp, nobody will receive your message. Everybody in the market, in the community use line, suddenly you use WhatsApp.
Understand?
Okay.
Uh-uh.
Okay. So that is how, and then this, okay, we go back to the innovator risk taker. You just provide them the new system, whether it's beta, they will use them. Early adopters require somebody to have used them, meaning they are opinion leaders, but they listen to someone. So if the innovator have used, so you just need to tell them some success stories they will use. Early majority, you look into the early adopters, many people have used, so they will provide them evidence, the system effectiveness, the success stories, they will use them. Late majorities are those very quite skeptical, but you have data that many have used, then they will use. Late majority. Laggards are very conservative. You need to push them to use. Pressure for them to use. No, you have to send it using WhatsApp, for example. So they will use. So there are several. These are these 5 categories. Percentage depends on each organization, each technology, and each country and each location. Yeah. So example, innovators very small, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So this categorization into 5 were developed by E.M. Rogers. Yeah, it's in 1970s. E.M. Rogers. This is a theory. Yeah. So the idea is that when you push a technology, the adoption does not happen immediately. It will be progressive according to the targeted population. Yeah. So this is another theory, diffusion of innovation theory. Okay, and then there will be another theory. Okay, that is the theory. Okay, why do we need to know this theory? Okay, one, you need to know this theory because when you want to implement organization change, you want to implement information system, you know there will be hindrances. People will not be easily adapt new technology. In organization, there will be these objections, and then there are theories to explain them, and then there are methods of how you need to implement the change. We have a change management model. We covered Lewin's change management model. How do you go through a 3-stage approach to make the change? And then how do Lewin's also have this theory to how do you measure the force field analysis? How do you measure the force field? And then when there is a change in any component of the organization, there will be an effect or impact on the other components, and then the other components will have to change as well. So this is Leibniz diamond theory. And then when you push in the technology to the market, there are two aspects, two facets that you can look at it. One is the technology acceptance model, where when people accept the technology, they will look into perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. This is called technology acceptance model. This is a marketing theory. Yeah, it's initiated from marketing theory. This is a technology theory of planned behavior. Those who do marketing will learn theory of planned behavior. From theory of planned behavior, they develop this technology acceptance model. From the technology acceptance model, they have this another theory called UTAU, Universal Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, UTAU. Yeah? And then, but from the technology end, when you push the technology, you know that the market will not immediately use the technology. There is a process. This process will be dependent on the group of people. There are people who are innovators who will immediately accept the technology. Early adopters see that it's good story about the technology, and then they will use it. And the early majority, when they are data show that this is good, they will be implementing, they will be adopting the technology. These are the majority people. Late majority, you need to prove them first that it is good, and then there are laggards. Laggards, you need to push them, pressure them to use the technology. So this is the 5 theories that related to change and adoption of technology in the organization. Okay, any questions so far before we move to the next topic?
Doctor, regarding the laggards part. I think in Malaysia and I think most of the countries in the world when we talk about laggards maybe according, this is just my opinion okay, according to your explanation just now about the perceived attitude and then the perceived behavioral towards the actual users. So I think the challenge for Malaysian companies in using this, especially for laggards fall into the micro SME and the SME, because the technology is not cheap. It is expensive. So maybe the owner of micro SME or SME, they want to use, but due to the circumstances that they have, although the owner is an early adopter maybe, but because of the condition of the company, they become laggards. Is there any possibility because of that?
Okay, when we look into this theory, I'm explaining based on this theory. This theory, division of innovation, they don't look at price. Same goes with the other theory, the user acceptance. Also, they don't look at price. Maybe towards the end, for example, behavioral intention, actual system use, maybe there is price issue here. But same goes with this division of innovation theory. It's not about the price. I think this is a 1970s theory. I don't really agree to this theory, really, because I am a qualitative researcher. Okay, based on this theory, because it is statistically done. Actually, this theory is done statistically. There are people who are conservative. They don't accept technology. Change in term technology. Okay, these new things, I don't accept this technology. They prefer to stick with what they have to. They don't have belief in the technology. It's not about money in this sense. So they don't see that this new technology can help them.
So basically, doctor, this is more on the behavioral side
on the behavioral side.
Financial side
Yes, not the financial side.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, division. Okay, now I think it's better I explain to you my a lot of this theory are quantitative driven, that developed by quantitative. I just explain you what is a quantitative and qualitative theory, because before we move into collaboration is not to this one, I think this cover next week translation. This is more technical. I will move into I will not move into technical yet. Okay, I'll just move, because as long as we are talking about theory, I'll just explain something about theory. Okay, about research. About research. Okay, clear this off first. Okay, we have many methods of research. For sciences, we have experimental research. Yeah, for sciences, we have experimental research. Bear in mind, science is about science is what we call it understanding the nature or love of nature, wisdom. So science is about understanding the nature, philosophy of nature. Yeah, so from that we have experimental research. So we will not cover experimental research here. So we are talking about social science research, because business falls under social. Some of you may come from science field, scientific science field or technical field, but when you do your MBA is a social science field. Yeah, social science management is social science. So for managing social science, we're not covering this. Yeah, we are not covering this. We are covering social science. So in social science, we have two methods to do research. We have quantitative research. Okay, most lecturers in PBS, you are in PBS, most lecturers in PBS are quantitative researchers. Yeah, or I think almost all of lecturers in most universities are quantitative researcher. Quantitative research is what we call it theory driven. Theory driven. So meaning what does it mean by theory driven? Starts research with a theory. So this theory will enhance, develop from one theory to another theory. From theory of planned behavior, you have TEM. From TEM, you have UTAUT. So it will develop theory from another theory to another theory, So it is theory driven. It is not data driven. It is not data driven. Bear in mind, it is not theory data driven. From theory, you will develop hypotheses. Plural hypothesis. So you have many hypotheses, and then you test hypothesis with data. So you do that statistically.
Doctor, Saiful, the question. I noticed that you put hypothesis is plural, not a singular. So it can be more than one hypothesis.
Yes. You have more than one, because you're not doing experimental, you're doing social science. Social science, you have many hypotheses. For example, you TEM just now, technology acceptance model. The hypothesis is whether about perceived usefulness, one. So you can have many hypotheses here. I'll show you back. Yeah. See. So whenever there is a theory, they will do what we call it. You will have dependent variables. When you develop hypothesis, you have dependent variables. Dependent variables. And then you have, towards the dependent variables, you have independent variables. Okay, I'll show you independent variables. Yeah? Dependent variable will be one, and then we have many independent variables. Yeah. Okay, what is variables? Variables are things that interest you, that you want to see in your data, in your context. What are the things that interest you? Okay, and then I will show back to this slide just now. Okay, when you look at this, okay, this TEM, this TEM example. Yeah. So this is the dependent variables. You can have this as the dependent variable. And then this is mediating variable. It mediates or intervening, mediating, moderating, mediating variables. And then this will be the independent variable 1, independent variable 2. Okay. You say that perceived usefulness affects the attitude. This is hypothesis 1. Perceived ease of use provide attitudes toward it. This is hypothesis 2. Attitudes will lead towards behavior orientation. Hypothesis 3. So here we have 3 hypotheses. Hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3. So this, in order to test that this theory is right, we are testing theory. For quantitative, it's about testing theory. So hypothesis 1 must be significant. Hypothesis 2 must be significant. Hypothesis 3 must be significantly validated. So that is quantitative. So you are testing hypothesis. So I'll go back to here. Yeah. Whiteboard. So you will learn this in BRM, but I just want to show you because I'm talking about some theory, so I want to show how does the theory relate. Okay, when you talk about so when you test hypothesis, you have dependent variable, and the variable you are testing the hypothesis. So you're validating the thesis. They fall under the paradigm. The research paradigm is, we call it positivism. Positivism. Positivism says that for everything that happen in the world, everything that happen, there must be a theory to explain it. Explain the situation to explain. There must be a theory to explain. So when you say there is a theory to explain, meaning that, say, when gravity happens, things fall down. There must be a theory to explain. That is positivism. Yeah. So this is quantitative. So there will be many hypotheses. Does that answer you, Saiful?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you so much, Dr.
Okay, compared with quantitative, what is quantitative? Quantitative research, qualitative research. I do qualitative research. Yeah, qualitative research is not theory driven. Is data driven. This is social science and not experimental, not experimental, which is more related to pure science or technical. Data driven. It is data driven, meaning that not theory driven. So we don't talk about theory. The concept is we develop proposition, yeah. So we it is data driven. We can develop the proposition. It is just a proposal or postulate, yeah. But we collect data and then we do reasoning. So this is what we call inductive research. Whereas qualitative research is actually, this is a deductive research. Deductive research is backward. So if A happen, B happen, C will happen. That is inductive. Deductive is C had happened, meaning A must happen, B must happen. So it go backward, deductive. Inductive is forward, deductive is backward. We'll cover this again when we learn AI, artificial intelligence, when we have both way, inductive and deductive. So there is no theory, no hypothesis, no dependent variables, no independent variables. We triangulate the data. It is called interpretivism. So interpretivism says that whatever happened in the world, whatever happened in the world, there is different interpretation. 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 Yeah, P-R-E-T. Interpretation. Okay. That is qualitative research. Okay, now we go back to our theory that we have covered. Because this is all these theories are quantitative driven, meaning there is, for example, TEM. It is done statistically. So diffusion and innovation, it is done statistically. Yes. So unlike qualitative, we look into data and the data will explain. So when you said about when we talk about just now about behavioral intention, so on. So there are many hypotheses. We test this hypothesis. These hypotheses derive from another theory. So this theory derived from another theory, theory of planned behavior, and then from this term we make another theory combined with another theory. It becomes UTAU and so on. So this is based on theory, whereas qualitative is not based on theory. Okay, any question before we move into the next topic?
No, so far okay.
So far okay. Okay, we will you will learn this again in business research method, BRM. Okay, we cover BRM. Okay, now we look into collaboration. Collaboration, there is another theory. We call it mercantilism theory and comparative advantage theory. Yeah, that relates to this. They talk about because we learn about zero-sum game just now. It's zero-sum, positive sum. Yeah, so we have, say, mercantilism theory. Mercantilism. Anybody remember mercantilism? Mercantilism.
First
Yes.
time I hear this term. Can you please explain?
Okay, mercantilism is zero-sum game, meaning that when you sell product to another country, say Malaysia sell product to Singapore, for example. Malaysia sell product to Singapore. If we sell product to Singapore, we gain, Singapore lose, because Singapore will have to buy the product from us. We will make profit. So the profit is our gain, but they have to pay, meaning that if, say, something like this, so if we pay, we earn, say, 1,000, and then our buyer will lose 1,000. Yeah, so seller will gain 1,000, buyer will lose 1,000. So the zero sum is 0, meaning the sum will be 0. 1,000 minus 1,000 will be 0. So this will be gained by the seller. This will be gained by the buyer. Is it true? Buyer will earn more, seller will earn more 1,000. Say our cost is we sell a product. Our cost is 800. And our cost is 9,000, for example. We sell at 10,000. So we will gain 1,000, right? Positive.
Yes.
So the buyer will pay 10,000, but the buyer will lose. Instead of incurring 9,000, if they build their own, they develop their own, but they will lose 1,000. The opportunity loss is 1,000. If they make their own, make for themselves, make the product by themselves, their cost will be 9,000. But now they have to buy from us. They have to pay extra 1,000, right? So they lose 1,000.
Understand, but doctor, if let's say a buyer, the buyer sell various items lah. It is more effective for us to buy. It is more effective for them to outsource lah the product. So does that fall under mercantilism? Because let's say you mentioned about just now 9,000 and then sell 10,000. Yes, the profit is 1,000. But the buyer will sell at much higher price, right? But in order to do that, they outsource the product from us, let's say 9,000, we have a profit 1,000 because we sell at 10,000.
Yes, but instead,
so they sell also other products from other suppliers beside of us.
Okay,
So
but
does that fall under mercantilism?
Okay, mercantilism mercantilism just look at one end.
Okay, all right.
Okay, if the buyer can make themselves the product at now 9,000 and then they sell to another company, they will make they will be the one that make 1,000. And then if they are at the different level of the vertical chain, the vertical chain. So say we sell product A, so product A, B, and then C. So if the buyer, instead of buying from A, the buyer will also produce A. For example, they will produce themselves A. They don't have to buy A. They can produce the whole product A. So because A is required to produce B. Now they don't have to buy A. They produce A by themselves, meaning that A is here. They do themselves A, and then they produce product. I can need to clear this off. Okay, undo. So they make themselves the product A. Say this is A. So they make the product that A themselves, and then they will sell to C. So they don't have to incur this. So they will make more gain, right?
Oh, I see. Correct.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so when the transaction between A to B, that is what we call by zero-sum game. This is what we call zero-sum game. Buyer will make, seller will win all, buyer will lose all. Zero-sum game. When you total, you become zero. This is zero-sum game. So this is the theory. There we have neo-mercantilism. We can check neo-mercantilism is the concept believed by Trump. That's why they want to close the businesses in China or in other parts of outside US and bring everything back to US, so that from US they can produce, they can give job to everybody, and then they sell product to other country, and then they will make more gain instead of giving gain to another country. And that is mercantilism. But there is another theory. This is also another commercial theory. We call it a comparative advantage theory by Ricardo. Comparative advantage theory. This is by Ricardo. Mercantilism is a very old theory, but Ricardo talk about comparative advantage because the situation, according to Ricardo, is not like mercantilism. The actual situation is, if say Switzerland or Belgium sells chocolate, I think everyone knows Belgium sells chocolate, right?
Yes.
Okay, Belgium. Why don't Belgium produce chocolate all chain, I mean, from the raw material, everything throughout the chain in Belgium, instead of buying cocoa from where do they buy cocoa? Ivory Coast, or buy cocoa from Pakistan or say Indonesia. Why don't they just plant cocoa and then sell cocoa at their end? Sell chocolate at their end.
I think because Belgium is small, firstly, and then the raw material does not have much of added value. Let's say you produce the product, yes, it will have much greater value.
Because they cannot plant cocoa in Belgium.
Oh, I see. Because of the season, because of
the temperate country.
The temperature.
The temperate country which have seasons which is cooler than us. We need to have equatorial or tropical season to plant cocoa. This is what called comparative advantage. Certain country have more advantage than another country. Sometimes we have country by in terms of manpower. Certain country have a lot of have a population. Have a lot of population, so human resource. From this human resource, they can produce better. Some country have good skilled worker. Some country have good different types of weather. Like apples cannot be planted here, for example. So if we look at the comparative advantages. So Ricardo say we need to have, we call it, this talk about, this is called zero-sum game. This is about positive sum game. Positive sum game is a win-win situation. So we have collaboration. Why we collaboration? Instead of plus 1,000, instead of minus 1,000, we plus another 1,000. It become 2,000. You see what I mean? Every country have their own advantage. Every company have their own advantage. I am good at certain area. I can develop system, but I cannot do networking. I'm not good at networking. I tie up with people who do networking, so I can deliver solution to my customer, networking, and as well as development. And then, but I don't have hardware. I tie up with somebody who supplies hardware. So I said, so all the three of us, the supplier of hardware, the supplier of networking, the installation of networking system, and the developer of software will gain. So it is not 1,000 minus 1,000 minus 1,000. It is 1,000 plus 1,000 plus 1,000. So everybody gain. So it is a win-win situation. That is called positive sum game. Okay, is it clear for everybody?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is what meant by positive sum game. When you when you have positive sum game, so that's what we call for collaboration. Collaboration can be short-lived or long-term. Yeah, can be informal or formal teams. So there is importance of collaboration because changing nature of work. Because we have specialized. I specialize in software development. I don't do networking. I do. Although I learned about networking because that is not my interest to do so. I want to focus in software development. I develop search engine and develop data models, knowledge models, and so on. This is my focus. I become expert in that area. So I call the others, my friend will concentrate on networking. They can have all forms of networking. And then I will collaborate with them to develop tools. And then there are people who concentrate on hardware, for example, changing nature of work. So there is growth of professional work interaction jobs, for example, like architect doesn't do engineering, engineering doesn't do quantity, quantities, what do you call it, QS, quantity surveyor, and so on. So this interaction. And then changing organization of the firm. We have spin-off companies like PNB IT, PNB IT department, PNB IT department become high-tech Padu, for example. Yeah, the organization become high-tech Padu. Changing scope of the firm change scope, they become specialized. Emphasis on innovation. So with the changing scope, we emphasize on innovation and then changing culture of work. We do a lot of offshoring and outsourcing. So then, because of this, we require collaboration. Yeah, I think this slide is a mix up. So you ignore this slide. Yeah, so from this collaboration, so you can provide improvement, like I mentioned, it is win-win situation, positive sum game, it will provide higher return on the ROI. Yeah, instead of, so I can deliver better, I can capture more market, I appear better, and then my quality of services will be better because I have partners. So it will provide better productivity, quality of service, innovation, customer service. Yes, there are also customer service be provided by third party, financial performance, with more profitability, more sales, and more sales growth. Yeah, so but in order to collaborate, you need to have an open culture, decentralized structure, breadth of collaboration, and you use technology. You can use technology for the implementation and operations, use technology for the strategic planning. Combining both, we have collaboration quality towards better firm performance. Yeah. So how do we develop? So we don't need command and control. So it's more towards teamwork. So you need to have collaborative business culture. Policies must be according to business culture. Yes.
Dr. Saiful, Dr.
Yes.
In the case of collaborative culture, I heard, this is based on my reading lah. I've read so many articles about how companies should leverage their technology by democratizing technology. So how does democratizing technology can suit the collaborative culture?
Democratizing technology is more it's like open source, where we open the technology so everybody can have access to technology. For example, when we see into open source, the technology continuously develop, so it could be better, and then it could be used by everybody. So that is how we look at technology. Everybody have access to the technology instead of legacy technology you hold it yourself, but continuity enhancement of the technology will be too dependent on your organization instead of opening up to the market where the certain level of the technology can be continuously developed. For example, like the one that, for example, like Android have been used by many mobile system. So including Google. The one that we use in Google is actually a different Android. It's not the open source Android, but it taps from the open source Android. It taps from the open source Android. Yeah. So this is the way I look at it. Okay, any other question? Okay, Saiful?
No.
Okay. Okay, these are the tools that we can use. There's basic tools that we can use for collaboration. We have email, instant messaging, wikis. You can have your own wikis. Actually, you can download at GitHub. You can set up your own wikis so that you can change, because when you want to communicate with your collaborative partners, you need to be able to define what the terms are being used, because sometimes you use different lingo and then they might not understand. So you need to have wikis. We have virtual worlds that you can communicate. Telepresence, Google Zoom, telepresence, yeah, Drive, Google Drive, Google Drive. This is cloud collaboration services, SharePoint, Enterprise Yammer, for example, Enterprise Social Networking Tools, Yammer. Yeah, there is another one. And then, but how do we identify? We begin with time and space metrics. Yeah, we begin with time and space metrics. Time and space metrics, we look into the product. For example, we are different company, whether we can have face-to-face interaction or not. We can have face-to-face interaction. If we are at the same time, we are at the same place. I'm in Bangi. Another company is also in Bangi. Same time, same place. It is synchronous. It is co-located. We can have face-to-face interaction. We can have decision room, single display, groupware, shared tables, and so on. We can have a war room. Yeah, in the same location, somewhere in Bangi or Sedang nearby. So it's synchronous, same time. But if I partner with someone in, say, in Johor Bahru, same time, it is same time, it is plus 8 GMT, but remote location. So I can do video conferencing, instant messaging, chat, multi-user displays, shared screen, and so on. So we are at different place, but at the same time, or even in Australia with the same time. So we can different place, remote, but at the same time, remote location, same time. Or I am in Bangi, but different time zone. For example, in Netherlands, or in Dubai, or in Japan, Korea, different time. So we can have continuous tasks, meaning that after you can have team rooms, you can have public display, large public display, yeah, different time. Yeah, but oh no, this is different time. This different time, same place. Different time, same place is a continuous task. For example, I take over shift 1, and then the other collaboration partner takes shift 2. But you can see some example. For example, some company work in for example, you can provide breakfast. For example, I can imagine breakfast. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I sell breakfast, the other company sell lunch, the other company sell dinner, for example. It is at the same place, but different time. It is asynchronous. You can have continuous tasks. You have same team room, large public display, shift work, groupware, project management, but different tasks. Yeah, so you take over this time, I take over this time. Yeah. Or we can have different place and different location. Just now, Korea, I'm in Korea, or I'm in Malaysia, and then partner in someone in Korea, different time as well as remote location. So you have email, bulletin boards, blogs, and so on. So these are the tools that these are the time-space metrics. Okay, from the time-space metrics, we look back. This is how we evaluate our software tools, which one we want to use. We identify the firm's collaboration challenges, look into the time-space metrics. From the time-space metric, yeah, this is time-space metrics, you look into the solutions available, and then you analyze this cost benefit of these solutions, and then you evaluate the security risk, and then we'll consult users to implement or training issues where they need to be trained, and then evaluate the product vendors, and then you determine which software tool you want to get. Okay, I think I will not cover this. Is just read this. People in the information system, CIO, CSO. Any question so far? We are early by 15 minutes.
No. So far.
Okay. No, okay. This is headed by information system. We have this chief security officer. There is another term. We call it chief science officer. Still CSO as well. CKO, CPO, chief data officer, programmer, data analyst. We have database administrators. Yeah. And then in organizing the information system function, you need to look into IT governance, the strategies and policies in using IT in the organization who have the right to make decisions, like always accountable for whatever they do, and then whether you want to centralize, decentralize the system, or you can have regional and so on. Okay, we will cover this next week when we talk about TPS, transaction processing system. This is starting to do technical a bit, but this is more management, applying management. Okay, any question on for today's topic? Anything on collaboration? Yes.
Is the UAT considered?
I think what happened? Okay, I mute myself first. You.
Okay. Just a question. Is the UAT is considered as alpha or beta testing, or is it three different kind of things?
Can you repeat your question, because there is echo? Do not know why happened. What happened? Echo. I get an echo. Okay. Can you?
So I just trying to understand, like, is it the UAT user acceptance testing is considered as alpha or beta testing, or is it the three different types of testing?
I think Shazza's mic double voice.
You have echo. I cannot. Why? Are you using? Okay, I'm not. Can you text? Can you text, please?
Okay, can you hear me now?
No, still.
You using handphone? Is it, Shazza?
No. Actually, I connect with my AirPod, but it's okay. Let me type. Okay.
Wait. Wait. Check. I cannot hear you. Okay, can you chat? Can you text your question, Shazza?
Yeah.
The chat box, I think, disable.
Chat box disable. Yeah. Let's see. Okay.
All right.
Okay. UAT, UAT is okay. UAT is UAT is okay. UAT is beta. Okay, it's like this. When you develop, okay, this is more. I think like this. Okay, it's not either beta or alpha. It's like this. Okay, I'll explain you what is UAT. User acceptance test. First, I'll talk about there is a echo. Yeah, I'll mute you first. Shazza, I'll mute you first. Okay, first you will talk about alpha. Alpha is you develop a technology. When you develop a technology, the technology is not meant for people first. During the development stage, there are multiple levels of technology. This is technology. During multi-level. So you can have or system. You can develop system. You can develop a system. So there are multiple levels. So you have unit testing until you have the complete product testing. That is testing. That is alpha. And then you get some people to test the product. That is beta. And then when you want to sell the product, your company you have completed the beta testing, meaning the the product is done. And then you integrate and then you install at the user. When you install at the user, then you do a user acceptance test. Install at the user, then you have a user acceptance test so that the user can test, and then so that is a third level. But it is because for alpha and beta is to test the complete product. Alpha internally in the organization, beta we allow some people to test. So we confirm that the product meet to the certain standard and so on. So it is good, can be marketed, can be commercialized. So that is to determine the product can be commercialized. That is beta. But UAT, user acceptance test, is when you have installed and then the user test for their satisfactory. Then user test for their satisfaction, they are satisfied the product. Usually after UAT, you will send an invoice for payment. Okay, does that answer you, Shazad? Okay. Any other question? Any other question?
Dr. so far no.
Yes. So far, no, yeah?
Okay.
So, yes, Shaza. Okay, no question. Yeah, Liu Shi, no question. Everybody okay? Okay. We are. Can we adjourn today? Early 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. This class is recorded, so I will upload it in where I will put it somewhere in the open learning. Okay.
Okay, Doctor, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Shahrudin.
Thank you, Doctor.